What was supposed to be a relaxing vacation turned into a nightmare when my husband said, "I sent all your savings to my family's account." His brother laughed and added, "Think of it as your gift to us." I acted like I was going to cry, then smiled and said, "That's funny. I just sent something too." Their phones buzzed. The shock on their faces said everything. I'm a 36-year-old woman, and I've been married to Derek, who's 38, for 6 years. Looking back, I should have seen the warning signs. His family was always around, not to help, but to take. His parents, his older brother Ethan, 40, and Ethan's wife Sophie, 35, acted like Derek owed them everything. And because I was married to him, they thought I did too. They constantly needed money. Ethan's car broke. Sophie had medical bills. Their parents had mortgage problems. And Derek? He always gave them money. I worked as an accountant, and I was careful with my money. I saved and planned ahead. I thought Derek respected that. But then I noticed money disappearing from our joint account. It wasn't a huge amount, but it happened often. He always had a reason. Ethan needed help with rent. Mom needed money for groceries. Sophie's car broke again. I told him to stop. He promised he would. But he didn't. So I stopped putting money into our joint account. I moved everything into my personal savings and didn't tell him how much I had. I thought that would protect me. I was wrong. Derek planned a vacation, just the two of us. He paid for the flights, and I booked the resort, Maldives. It was beautiful. The first 2 days were amazing. Then came the third night. We were having a fancy dinner on the beach when Derek took my hands, smiled, and said, "I transferred your savings to my family." I froze. Then Ethan laughed and said, "It's your contribution to us." They were all in on it. Derek, Ethan, Sophie. They thought they had won. Derek added, "Family helps each other." But I wasn't family. I was just their source of money. I acted like I was hurt. I let my hands shake, let a tear fall, and whispered, "Funny. I just transferred something too." Ethan looked confused. Sophie's phone lit up. Then Derek's. They checked their phones, and the smiles disappeared. "What they?" Ethan shouted. Derek pulled out his phone. His face went pale. Sophie gasped. You see, Derek never had access to my savings, but over time, I had quietly learned their passwords, gathered information, and waited. While they were stealing from me, I was taking it all back. I emptied Ethan's accounts. I moved the money from their family trusts. I drained Derek's private account. I even used their money to pay off my mortgage and donate to charities for people who've been financially abused. And just for fun, I downgraded their flight tickets. Their cards didn't work anymore. Ethan lost it. Sophie cried. Derek sat frozen. "You stole from me," I said. "So I stole from you." Security started coming over because Ethan looked like he might break something. Derek begged, "You love me. You wouldn't do this." I leaned in. "You didn't love me. You loved my money." Then I walked away, calm and steady, even though my heart was racing. Derek followed me back to the room and grabbed my arm. "Where's the money?" he asked, panicked. "Gone," I said. "You have to fix this. Ethan is freaking out. He's calling the bank, the police." I laughed. "You mean the police will want to know how you stole from your wife? And Ethan's tax fraud? Those police?" Derek turned pale. He knew I wasn't bluffing. I stepped closer. "You thought I'd just cry and do nothing. After 6 years, you still underestimated me." That's when I saw real fear in his eyes. Then he said something that made me pause. "Ethan's not just angry. He knows dangerous people. If we don't fix this, it won't be just legal trouble. It could get much worse." For the first time, I hesitated. Ethan had always been shady. I had ignored it before. My stomach twisted in fear, but I didn't let Derek see it. "Not my problem," I said, pushing past him into the villa. I locked the door and grabbed my phone. Less than an hour later, I heard shouting outside. It was Ethan and Sophie, her voice high and scared. "We have to talk to her. We can't leave like this." I looked through the window. They were pacing back and forth. Ethan looked furious, his face red, his fists clenched. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled something out. I couldn't tell what it was, but Sophie gasped when she saw it. That's when I knew this wasn't just about money anymore. I had to get out of there. I grabbed my suitcase and threw everything inside. Then I called the front desk. "Hi, This is room 214. I need a car to the airport. The receptionist hesitated. But ma'am, your stay isn't scheduled to end yet. I don't care. Please, I'll tip double. Right away, ma'am. I let out a shaky breath. I just have to get to the airport, catch the next flight, get home. Then, knock, knock, knock. Loud, harsh, demanding. Open the door. Now. It was Ethan. I backed away from the door. My phone buzzed. A message from Derek. Derek, let them in. We can fix this. Please, baby, we just need to talk. No, absolutely not. I grabbed my bags and rushed to the back door. I opened it, but someone was already there. A tall man, dressed too casually for a fancy resort. He wasn't staff. He didn't look like a guest either. I stepped back. Who are you? He didn't answer, just stared at me. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Yeah, she's here. And just like that, I felt cold all over. I slammed the door shut behind me. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was something darker, something I didn't fully understand. My breathing was fast. My hands shook as I locked the door. This wasn't just a bad vacation. It was dangerous. Who was that man? Ethan had always been shady, but hiring someone, that was a new level. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through my contacts. I needed help. Anyone. Rachel, my best friend. She's a lawyer. She could help. But then I froze. No signal. I ran to the window and checked the Wi-Fi. Nothing. They had cut me off. Then came a knock. And a voice, smooth, calm. You can come out, sweetheart. Let's not make this harder than it has to be. It wasn't Derek. It wasn't Ethan. It was him, the man outside. I backed away. This wasn't just about money anymore. I had underestimated Ethan, badly. I had taken their money, their savings, trust funds, even Derek's account. But there was one account I hadn't touched, Ethan's offshore account. I found it a year ago when Derek left his laptop open. The numbers didn't add up. The bank was in another country. I did some digging. It wasn't just shady, it was criminal. Money laundering. Fraud. Worse. I didn't say anything then. I thought it wasn't my problem. But now? Now I realized just how deep this mess went. I had to get out, but how? Front door, Ethan and Sophie. Back door, mystery man. Phone and Wi-Fi, useless. I took a deep breath. Think. Then I made my choice. I unlocked the door. Ethan was yelling at Sophie when I stepped out. His face turned to rage the second he saw me. Where is the money? He snapped, storming toward me. I raised my hand. You have 5 seconds to listen before I start talking. Talk to who? Ethan sneered. Your phone's useless, sweetheart. I smirked. I recorded everything. That stopped him. Derek went stiff. Sophie turned pale. You're bluffing, Ethan said. I pulled out my phone, opened a recording, and hit play. Derek's voice came out first. I transferred your savings to my family's account. Then Ethan's. Consider it your contribution to us. Silence. I stayed calm. You're going to let me walk out. I'll get on that plane. And if any of you come near me again, this goes straight to the police. Ethan clenched his jaw. Then, out of nowhere, Sophie grabbed me. Fast. Hard. She has more, she said, her nails digging into my skin. Sophie, stop. Derek started. Shut up, Derek, she snapped. And then I saw it. Sophie wasn't angry. She was terrified. More scared than Ethan. That told me everything. As she dragged me toward the beach path, I leaned in. You don't look mad. You look scared. She said nothing. What is Ethan hiding? Who does he owe? She flinched. Bingo. This wasn't just about them. This was about someone else's money. Someone dangerous. Ethan wasn't just broke. He was in debt. Big, scary debt. We reached the parking lot. There was a black car waiting. Leaning against it was the same man from earlier. He was smoking, calm, watching. Sophie swallowed hard. They're already here, aren't they? I asked. She didn't answer. That was all I needed to know. I took a breath. This wasn't just my revenge anymore. Ethan had messed with people worse than me. And now I had 2 options. Run. Or take the biggest risk of my life. Sophie squeezed my arm. You don't want to do this, she whispered. You don't know who you're dealing with. I looked her dead in the eye. Funny, I said. That's exactly what I was thinking. About Ethan. The man flicked his cigarette away and stepped forward. His suit was neat. His eyes were cold. He wasn't just muscle. He was someone important. We had a deal, Ethan, he said, voice calm but sharp. And yet, here I am. Ethan looked pale. Stick. All his fake confidence was gone. Derek grabbed me suddenly, his grip tight. Fix this, he hissed. You started it. You fix it. I pulled away. You stole from me, I said calmly. I just took it back. This is on you. Ethan was sweating. He turned to the man. We can get it, he said quickly. We just need more time. The man took one slow step forward. Ethan, shut up. No more time, the man said. No more lies. Then he looked at me. His eyes scanned me like he was sizing me up. You took their money, didn't you? I smiled. I did. Ethan twitched like he'd been slapped. The man nodded slowly. Then we have a problem. Derek, ever the coward, tried to jump in. Wait, we can work something out, he said, his voice fake sweet. We're all reasonable people, maybe. The man raised his hand. Derek fell silent. Derek, shut up, I said. Then the man turned back to me. Do you have it? He asked. No, I lied. It wasn't a full lie. Most of the money was already moved, hidden, or invested in ways Derek couldn't get to. But I kept a little cash on hand, just in case. The man stared at me, his eyes sharp. Ethan was breathing hard. He knew things were about to get ugly. Then someone has to pay. Then, without warning, the man pulled out a gun and aimed it at Ethan. Sophie screamed. Derek backed away, looking scared. Ethan fell to his knees. Wait, Ethan begged. I didn't move. I should have been scared, maybe I was. But after everything, after being treated like a cash machine by these people, I felt nothing. Please, Ethan sobbed. Please, we can fix this. The man looked at me again. You took their money, he said, but you're not the idiot who lost it. I'm feeling generous. I'll give you a choice. I raised an eyebrow. I can take the money from you, he said, or I can take it from them. Sophie cried harder. Derek went pale. Ethan screamed. Choose, sweetheart, the man said. It's your move. Derek grabbed my arm. You have it, he hissed. Just give it to them. Sophie, crying, clung to my sleeve. Please, he begged. Please, please, please. Then Ethan turned on me. This is your fault, he yelled, furious. You owe us. You married into this family. You don't just get to walk away. That was it. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I laughed. So hard I had to wipe my eyes. You still don't get it, do you? I said, looking at all of them. I don't owe you anything. Sophie cried louder. Derek snapped. Just give it to them, damn it. The gun pressed harder against Ethan's forehead. Last chance, the man said. And that's when I smiled. I don't negotiate with thieves, I said, then turned and walked away. Derek screamed my name. Sophie fell to the ground. I didn't look back. I don't know if Ethan made it out of the parking lot. I didn't care to find out. As soon as I left the resort, I booked a first-class flight home. No connections, straight to my city. By the time I landed, I had blocked all their numbers. Derek, he tried to reach me. Emails, fake social media accounts, even a handwritten letter begging me to fix things. Then the threats came. You'll regret this. I'll ruin you. You have no idea what you've done. And my favorite. I still love you. I sent everything to my lawyer. Derek got charged with fraud. I never heard from Ethan again. Sophie left him and ran back to her parents. As for me, I sat back in my paid-off house, sipping expensive wine, watching Derek's life fall apart. Because karma isn't a bitch. I am.
The message arrived during our anniversary dinner, nestled between congratulatory texts and photos from the evening. Just 12 simple words that shattered everything I thought I knew. Your husband isn't who you think he is. Ask him about Singapore. I stared at my phone under the table, my fingers trembling as I read it again. Across from me, Landon was deep in conversation with the sommelier, his face animated as he discussed vintage years and grape varieties. The candlelight caught the silver at his temples, and for a moment I saw him as I had that first day. Charming, sophisticated, seemingly perfect. "Fiona?" His voice pulled me back. "Everything okay?" I forced a smile, sliding my phone into my purse. "Just checking the time. We don't want to be late for dessert." The restaurant buzzed around us, a symphony of clinking glasses and muted conversations. Our table, positioned in the corner with a view of the city lights, felt suddenly claustrophobic. A year of marriage, and now this. This thing hanging between us, invisible but heavy as lead. "You've barely touched your risotto," Landon noted, reaching across to touch my hand. "Are you feeling all right?" "I'm fine." The lie tasted bitter. Just thinking about how much has changed in a year. His fingers tightened slightly on mine. "All good changes, though, right?" I watched his face carefully, searching for... what? A tell? A crack in the facade? "Singapore must have been quite a change for you." His hand withdrew so quickly it knocked over his water glass. The liquid spread across the white tablecloth like truth seeping through lies. "What about Singapore?" His voice was steady, but his eyes, those eyes that had once made me weak at the knees, darted away. "You tell me." The waiter appeared with dessert, some elaborate chocolate creation that had seemed exciting when we ordered it. Now it just looked like another pretty lie. "It was just business," Landon said finally, his fork scraping against the plate. "Years ago, before we met. Nothing worth mentioning." Nothing worth mentioning in an entire year of marriage? He set down his fork with deliberate care. "Who's been talking to you about Singapore?" "Does it matter?" "Of course it matters." His tone sharpened. "Has my mother been... Clara?" "No." I laughed, but it came out wrong, hollow and harsh. "Why would your mother know something about you that I don't?" The couple at the next table glanced over. Landon lowered his voice. "This isn't the place for this conversation." "When is the place? When is the time? Because so far, it seems like never was your preference." His jaw tightened. I'd seen that look before, usually when dealing with difficult suppliers at his restaurant. Never directed at me. "You're making something out of nothing." "Then why are you so defensive?" "I'm not..." He stopped, took a careful breath. "Can we please just enjoy our anniversary?" I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. "I think I need some air." "Fiona, don't..." But I was already walking away, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor like a countdown. In the bathroom, I gripped the marble counter and stared at my reflection. The woman looking back at me wore expensive jewelry and a designer dress. Gifts from Landon. Carefully curated pieces of the life we'd built together. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. Ask about the fire. Ask about Mia. Mia, his business partner. The woman who always seemed to be there, just at the edges of our life, watching with those knowing eyes. I splashed cold water on my face, smearing my carefully applied makeup. Outside, Landon would be waiting, probably already crafting explanations, excuses, more pretty lies to add to our collection. The question wasn't whether to go back out there. The question was, what version of my husband would I find when I did? The drive home stretched like a rubber band ready to snap. Landon's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, and I watched the city lights blur past, each one carrying away another fragment of what I'd thought was real. Singapore was complicated, he finally said, breaking 20 minutes of silence. I made mistakes. Bad ones. What kind of mistakes? He pulled into our driveway but didn't kill the engine. The kind that cost people everything. Before I could respond, headlights swept across us. Clara's Mercedes purred to a stop behind our car, and my stomach clenched. Of course she'd be here. She had a sixth sense for crisis, always materializing when Landon's facade showed cracks. "What's she doing here?" I asked. I texted her. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "We need to handle this as a family." A family? The word tasted like ash. Since when does family mean keeping secrets from your wife? Clara rapped on my window, her perfectly manicured nails clicking against the glass. I got out, letting the door swing wider than necessary, forcing her to step back. "Darling," she said, her smile sharp as a blade. "What's this I hear about you making a scene at dinner?" "Mother," Landon warned, but she waved him off. "The first anniversary is paper, dear," she continued. "Not drama." The front door opened and Tessa emerged, arms crossed. Of course she was here too. The whole cavalry assembled to manage the situation. To manage me. "You knew," I said to Clara. "About Singapore. About Mia." Something flickered in her eyes. Triumph, maybe, or satisfaction. "There are things you don't understand about this family." "Then explain them to me." Tessa laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Oh, now she wants explanations? After a year of playing perfect wife, suddenly she's entitled to our history?" "Tessa," Landon snapped. "Not now." "When then?" I demanded. "When were any of you planning to tell me about the fire?" The word hung in the air like smoke. Clara's smile vanished. Tessa's face went white. "And Landon." Landon looked like I'd struck him. "Who told you about that?" Clara's voice had dropped to a whisper. I pulled out my phone, showed them the messages. "Someone thinks I deserve the truth." "Those messages," Clara said, "are from someone trying to destroy this family. Is that what you want, Fiona? To destroy everything we've built?" "What you've built is a house of lies." "What we've built," she stepped closer, "is a legacy. One that was flourishing until you came along with your yoga classes and your modern ideas about transparency." "Mother," Landon tried again, but she silenced him with a look. "The question isn't what happened in Singapore," Clara continued. "The question is whether you can be trusted with this family's future." My phone buzzed again. Another message. I opened it, aware of their eyes on me, and felt my breath catch. A photo this time. Landon and Mia, years younger, standing in front of a building I didn't recognize. The caption read, "Before the flames." "Show me," Landon said, reaching for the phone. I pulled back. "Like you showed me the truth about your past?" "Fiona," his voice cracked. "Please." "Let her go, Landon," Tessa said. "She's already chosen sides." "The only side I'm on is the truth." Clara laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "Truth? In this family, truth is whatever we decide it needs to be." I looked at them. This family I'd married into. Clara with her iron control, Tessa with her barely concealed hatred, and Landon, my husband, a stranger wearing a familiar face. "I'm going to find out what happened," I said, "with or without your help." "Be careful what you wish for," Clara replied. "Some truths are better left buried." I walked past them, into the house that no longer felt like home. Behind me, I heard Clara's voice, low and urgent. "Handle this, Landon, before she ruins everything." In our bedroom, I locked the door and opened my laptop. Singapore. A fire. Mia. Somewhere in the digital ether, the truth was waiting. And I would find it, even if it burned everything down around me. My phone buzzed one final time. "Tomorrow, noon. The old marina. Come alone." Outside, I could hear them talking, planning, probably deciding how to contain me. They had no idea what they'd started, no idea what I was capable of. Let them plot. I had my own plans now. The marina's wooden planks creaked under my feet as I approached Slip 23. Salt air and diesel fumes mixed with the metallic taste of fear in my mouth. I'd told Landon I was teaching a private yoga session. Another lie to add to our growing collection. A familiar figure stood at the end of the dock. Mia. Of course it was her. She wore oversized sunglasses despite the overcast day, her dark hair whipping in the wind. "I wondered if you'd come," she said, not turning around. "You sent the messages." "Some of them." She finally faced me. "The truth has many messengers, Fiona." I kept my distance, noting how close she stood to the edge. Why now? Because I saw the transfer documents on Landon's desk yesterday. He's signing over his share of the restaurant to Clara. She paused. All of it, including my investment. That couldn't be right. The restaurant was Landon's life, his dream. Why would he? To pay old debts. Mia's laugh was bitter. Singapore wasn't just a bad business deal. It was fraud, arson, and 3 people dead. My phone buzzed. A text from Tessa. Where are you, really? Mother's asking. I ignored it. Tell me everything. Better if I show you. Mia pulled out a USB drive. Financial records, emails, insurance claims. Everything Clara buried to protect her precious son. And you kept copies. Insurance of my own. She held out the drive. The question is, what will you do with it? Before I could answer, another voice cut through the wind. Nothing if she's smart. Tessa emerged from behind a storage shed, her heels clicking against the dock. Did you really think we wouldn't track your phone? My hand closed around the USB drive as Mia stepped back. Your brother's not the victim here, Tessa. He's the perpetrator. You don't understand our family. I understand enough. I turned to leave, but Tessa blocked my path. Give me the drive. Or what? Or I tell Mother about your little secret. Tessa's smile was cruel. The pregnancy test in your bathroom trash. Does Landon know yet? My hand instinctively went to my stomach. I'd only known for 3 days, hadn't told anyone. That's right, she continued. Think carefully about whose life you're willing to destroy. Fiona, Mia said quietly. The insurance payout from Singapore funded the restaurant. Every dollar you've lived on, every piece of jewelry Landon's given you, it's all blood money. Tessa lunged for the drive. I stepped back, too close to the edge. The wood was slick from morning rain. Give it to me. She grabbed my arm. I twisted away, but my foot slipped. For one terrifying moment, I was falling. Then Mia's hand caught my jacket, yanking me back. Enough, Mia shouted. Tell her the rest, Tessa. Tell her about your role in all this. Tessa went pale. You don't know anything. I know you were in Singapore too. I know about the payments to your offshore account. My phone buzzed again. Landon. Where are you? We need to talk. Choose now, Fiona, Mia said. But remember, Clara will sacrifice anyone to protect her family's reputation. Anyone. I looked at the drive in my hand, thought of the baby growing inside me. A baby who would be born into this web of lies unless I did something now. I'm going to the police, I said. You'll regret this, Tessa hissed. Mother will what? I stepped closer to her. Bury another truth? Destroy more lives? Not this time. I walked away, the USB drive burning in my pocket like a lit fuse. Behind me, I heard Tessa on her phone. Mother, we have a problem. Back in my car, I plugged in the drive. Dozens of folders appeared. Financial records, photos, email chains. One photo showed a younger Landon and Tessa standing in front of a Singapore restaurant. The date stamp was 1 day before the fire. My phone lit up with messages. Clara. Come to the house. Now. Landon. Whatever Mia told you, she's lying. Tessa. Last chance to do this the easy way. I started the engine but didn't drive toward their house. Instead, I headed for the police station. Let them scheme and threaten. I had evidence now, and more importantly, someone else to protect. The game had changed, and so had the stakes. They wanted to talk about family? Fine. Let's talk about what family really means. I never made it to the police station. 3 blocks away, my engine died, completely dead, as if someone had reached inside and pulled its heart out. When I turned the key, nothing happened. Not even a click. My phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. Check the trunk. The parking lot was empty except for a black SUV idling 2 spaces away. Tinted windows. Engine running. Waiting. In my trunk, I found my answer. The battery cables had been cut. Clean, professional work. They'd been watching me, planning this. Need a ride? Clara's voice made me jump. She stood beside the SUV, door open like an invitation or a trap. I'll call a tow truck. With what phone? On cue, my screen went black. Amazing how fragile technology can be. I clutched my purse tighter, feeling the USB drive inside. What do you want? To show you something. Your choice? Come willingly, or I'll have Landon's lawyers file emergency custody papers. I'm sure a judge would be interested in a pregnant woman's erratic behavior. The SUV's engine purred, waiting. How long have you known? About the baby? Longer than you. She smiled. There are no secrets in this family, Fiona. Only things we choose not to discuss. The drive was silent. We passed the city limits, heading toward the industrial district. Clara studied property records on her tablet while I watched abandoned warehouses scroll past. We stopped at a burned-out building. The sign, barely legible, read, Pacific Rim Fusion. Landon's first restaurant, Clara said, before Singapore. What happened? Progress, development, change. Each word dropped like a stone. Sometimes things need to burn before they can be rebuilt. Inside, the destruction was absolute. Charred beams, melted fixtures, dreams reduced to ash. In what must have been the kitchen, Clara stopped. 3 people died here, she said. Not in Singapore. Here, in my son's restaurant. I stared at her. What? A grease fire, officially. Insurance paid out enough to fund the Singapore venture. She touched a blackened wall. Landon was devastated, blamed himself. That's when Tessa suggested expanding overseas. A fresh start. And the people who died? Tragic accident, just like Singapore would have been if things had gone according to plan. She turned to face me. But Mia got cold feet, warned the authorities, cost us everything. My hand went to my stomach instinctively. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to understand what family means, what we'll do to protect our own. She pulled out her phone, showed me a video. Landon in his office, head in his hands, while Mia stood over him. The timestamp was yesterday. He's signing over the restaurant because Mia's blackmailing him, Clara said. She thinks she can take everything we've built, just like you do. I want the truth. Truth? She laughed. The truth is you're carrying my grandchild. That makes you family. But it also makes you vulnerable. My phone suddenly buzzed back to life. A new message appeared. Final warning. Walk away. The choice is yours, Clara said. Be part of this family, really part of it, or lose everything, including your child. You can't. I can do anything. She stepped closer. Ask yourself, what kind of mother would choose revenge over her baby's future? The drive back was a blur. Clara dropped me at my car, now mysteriously working again. Before I got out, she touched my arm. One more thing. She handed me a folder. Proof that Mia was behind the Singapore fire. Anonymous tip to the police would solve all our problems. I watched the SUV disappear, then opened the folder. The evidence was perfect. Too perfect. My phone buzzed one last time. Mia, whatever she showed you, remember. Clara plays the long game. Ask yourself why she really wanted you to marry Landon. I sat in my car, feeling my baby move for the first time. A flutter, like a warning. The USB drive felt heavy in my purse, but Clara's folder felt heavier. The truth wasn't just about Singapore anymore. It was about here, now, and the choices that would shape not just my future, but my child's. I started the engine but didn't move. The question wasn't where to go anymore. It was who to become. The yoga studio was empty except for me and my laptop, spreadsheets glowing in the pre-dawn darkness. 3 weeks of careful planning had led to this moment. My online wellness platform was ready to launch. My escape route, carefully hidden from Clara's surveillance. A shadow moved across the window. Tessa. Of course they were watching. My phone lit up with a message from Ethan. Got the incorporation papers? You're officially a business owner. I smiled, remembering Clara's condescending words about my little yoga classes. She had no idea I'd been building my own empire, right under her nose. The studio door opened. Mia walked in, wearing workout clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "Interesting time for yoga," she said, dropping her mat beside me. "Interesting time for spying. I'm not here for Clara." She sat down, close enough that I could smell her expensive perfume. "The restaurant's books are being audited next week." My fingers stilled on the keyboard. Landon didn't mention that. Landon doesn't know, yet. She pulled out her phone, showed me an email. "The IRS is very interested in certain overseas transactions. You reported them. Actually, your friend Ethan did. Anonymous tip." She watched my face carefully. "Didn't know he worked for the Financial Crimes Division, did you?" The room suddenly felt too small. Ethan had never mentioned. But then there were lots of things people didn't mention in this family. "What do you want?" "Same thing you do. Freedom." She stood up, stretching like this was actually about yoga. "Clara's planning to frame me for everything. The fires, the fraud, all of it. But she doesn't know about the backup drives." "Drives? Plural?" "Insurance comes in many forms." She smiled. "Check your email in an hour. Make copies. Lots of copies." The door chimed again. Landon walked in, looking surprised to see us together. "Early morning meeting?" His tone was light, but his eyes were hard. "Just catching up," Mia said, gathering her things. "Congratulations, by the way, on the baby." She left us alone in the growing dawn light. Landon picked up my laptop, studying the website design. "So this is what you've been working on." "Someone has to think about our future." "Our future?" He set the laptop down carefully. "Or your escape plan." "Can it be both?" His laugh was bitter. "Mother warned me you'd try something like this. Said you were too independent for your own good." "My own good? Or hers?" "You don't understand what she's protected us from." "Like the truth about the fires?" He flinched. "That was different. We were desperate. We? Or you? Everything I did was for us, for our family." "Family?" I stood up, anger finally breaking through. "Your family burned people alive for insurance money. Twice. And now what? You're going to let them frame Mia to protect your mother?" "You don't know what you're talking about." My phone buzzed. Mia's email had arrived early. I opened it, turned the screen toward him. His face went ash white. "Where did you get those?" "Does it matter? The truth was always there, waiting to burn everything down." He reached for my phone, but I pulled back. "Fiona, please. If Mother sees these..." "She'll what? Kill me too? Frame me for another fire?" "She'll take everything, including our baby." The words hung between us like smoke. Outside, the sun was rising, painting the room in shades of gold and shadow. My laptop pinged. A notification from my website. First customer signed up, then another, and another. My freedom. Building one click at a time. "I'm launching the business," I said. "With or without your support." "She won't let you." "She can't stop me, not anymore." He stepped closer, desperation in his eyes. "You have to choose, Fiona. The business or the baby. She'll make sure you can't have both." My phone buzzed again. "Ethan. IRS raid scheduled for Monday. Get out now." I looked at Landon. Really looked at him. The man I'd married was somewhere in there, buried under years of his mother's manipulation. But I couldn't save him. Not without sacrificing myself. "I already chose," I said, gathering my things. "I choose truth. I choose freedom. I choose our child having a mother they can be proud of." "Fiona." But I was already walking away, toward the rising sun and whatever inferno waited on the other side of truth. Behind me, my phone lit up with Clara's number. Let her call. Let her scheme. I had my own fires to start now. The restaurant was burning. Not literally, not yet, but I could smell the smoke of its collapse in every frantic phone call. every whispered conversation between Landon and Clara. The IRS audit had triggered a cascade of financial disasters, and now their empire was crumbling. I stood in Landon's office, watching him pace between stacks of financial records. My growing belly pressed against his desk as I leafed through the documents Mia had provided. "They're freezing our accounts," he said, voice hollow. "All of them." "Including mine?" His silence was answer enough. I thought of my new business, my clients, my chance at independence. All potentially gone because I'd let him add his name to my accounts. "For protection," he'd said. The irony tasted like ash. "Mother has a plan," he started. "Another fire?" He flinched. "She wants to transfer everything to you, temporarily, until this blows over. Make me the fall guy. Make you the savior." He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Think about the baby." The baby, always their favorite weapon now. My phone buzzed. "Ethan. They're moving early. Get out now." The office door burst open. Clara swept in, Tessa trailing behind like a shadow. "Sign these." Clara dropped a stack of papers on the desk. "Quickly." I glanced at the first page. Property transfer documents. My name everywhere. "No, this isn't a request." Clara's voice could have frozen flame. "Sign or I'll make sure you never see a penny from that little online business of yours." "You can't." "I already have." She smiled, sharp as broken glass. "Check your website." My hands shaking, I pulled up the site on my phone. Error messages, server crashes, customer complaints flooding in. "Amazing how fragile digital businesses are," Tessa said. "One wrong line of code." "This is illegal." "Prove it." Clara pushed the papers closer. "Sign and everything goes back to normal. Your business, your accounts, your life." My prison. Landon touched my shoulder. "Please, Fiona. We can fix this together." "Together?" I laughed, the sound scratching my throat. "When were we ever together? You've always belonged to her." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. "Time's up," Clara snapped. "Sign." I picked up the pen, saw my hand trembling above the paper. One signature to save everything I'd built. One moment of surrender. The office door crashed open again. Federal agents poured in, badges flashing, voices overlapping in a chaos of commands. "IRS criminal investigation." "Hands where we can see them." "Step away from the desk." Clara's face transformed into something ancient and terrible. "You," she hissed at me. "You did this." "Actually," Mia's voice cut through the chaos as she entered behind the agents. "I did. Freeze all documents." An agent grabbed the transfer papers. "These are evidence now." I watched them handcuff Landon, saw tears tracking down his face. Not for me, not for our baby, for his mother's disappointment. "Fiona," Clara called as they led her out. "Remember what family means." "I do." I touched my belly. "That's why I'm choosing a different one." Later, sitting in Ethan's office at the federal building, I learned the full scope of their crimes. Not just the fires, but years of fraud, money laundering, tax evasion. My signature on 100 documents I'd trusted Landon to explain truthfully. "You'll have to testify," Ethan said gently, "against all of them." "Including my husband?" "Especially your husband." My phone lit up with notifications. My website was back online, but the damage was done. Customers fleeing, reputation in tatters. Everything I'd built, scorched by Clara's final act of vengeance. "We can protect you," Ethan continued. "Witness protection, new identity, fresh start." "And my baby?" "We'll never know their father's name." I stared out his window at the city lights, each one representing a life untouched by the inferno I'd walked into. Somewhere out there was a future without Landon, without Clara, without the weight of their legacy. But first, I had to burn the last bridge. "When do we start?" Ethan slid a folder across his desk. "There's something else you should know. About why Clara chose you specifically. About your own mother's connection to their first restaurant. My hand froze above the folder. Sometimes the past isn't just smoke and mirrors. Sometimes it's gasoline, waiting for a match. Show me. The courtroom felt like another restaurant about to burn. Clara sat at the defendant's table, immaculate as always, while Tessa whispered urgently in her lawyer's ear. Landon wouldn't look at me. My mother's autopsy report lay heavy in my hands. 20 years ago, she'd been one of the 3 victims in that first restaurant fire. Not an accident. Not random. A message to her husband, my father, about debts owed to Clara's family. Mrs. Bennett, the prosecutor said, please tell the court about your conversation with the defendant on March 15th. I touched my now prominent belly, feeling my baby shift. 7 months along, and Clara was still trying to claim custody from behind bars. She told me about the first fire, I said. About my mother. Clara's face remained carved from stone, but her fingers twitched, the first crack in her facade I'd ever seen. And what specifically did she say? Objection. Clara's lawyer stood. Hearsay. Your Honor, the prosecutor countered. The defendant's statements to Mrs. Bennett established pattern and intent. Approach the bench. While the lawyers huddled with the judge, Landon finally met my eyes. He mouthed something that might have been sorry or might have been stop. Too late for either. My phone buzzed silently. Mia. Clara's playing you. Check your email now. Under the table, I opened the message. Security footage from the prison where Clara was held before trial. She was talking to someone. As I watched, the visitor turned slightly. Ethan. My heart stopped. The timestamp was 2 days ago. The lawyers returned to their positions. Proceed, the judge said. But before the prosecutor could speak, Clara stood up. I'd like to address the court, she announced. And my daughter-in-law. Her lawyer tried to stop her, but Clara waved him off. The judge leaned forward, intrigued. Fiona, she said, her voice carrying to every corner. Tell them about your father's gambling debts, about how he begged me for help, offered anything in exchange, even his wife. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. Your Honor. The prosecutor protested, but Clara continued. Tell them how Ethan works for me, not the IRS. How every piece of evidence, every anonymous tip was orchestrated to bring you here, to this moment, to complete what your mother started. My hands shook. You're lying. Am I? She smiled. Check your father's death certificate, the date, the location. Singapore, I whispered. The night before the second fire, he came to warn Landon, to stop history from repeating. Such a shame about that mugging gone wrong. The prosecutor was shouting now, the judge threatening contempt. But Clara's words cut through everything. You didn't marry into this family, Fiona. You were born into it. Your mother's death paid your father's debt. And now your testimony, your revenge, it's just completing the circle. Order. The judge's gavel cracked like gunfire. Mrs. Whitmore, one more word and... You want to know who really sent those first messages about Singapore? Clara's eyes locked onto mine. Ask your mother's sister. Ask Mia. The world tilted. Mia, my aunt. The pieces fell into place like ash settling after an inferno. Security officers moved toward Clara, but she'd achieved her goal. The damage was done. Every piece of evidence, every step of my investigation, all part of her design. The truth, she called as they led her away, is that you're more like me than your mother ever was. We both know how to burn things down. In the chaos that followed, I sat perfectly still, one hand on my belly, the other clutching my phone with Ethan's betrayal frozen on the screen. Landon approached cautiously. Did you know? About Mia? Did you know about my mother? His silence was answer enough. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, but I barely saw them. My phone lit up with a final message from an unknown number. Your mother tried to expose us too. History doesn't just repeat, it burns brighter the second time. Welcome to the family, niece. I deleted the message, straightened my spine, and faced the cameras. Clara wanted circles. I'd show her spirals. Some fires don't just destroy. They forge something new from the ashes. Let them all burn. The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and stale coffee. Clara sat across from me, still elegant in her orange jumpsuit, while my son kicked inside me, as if sensing the tension. "Have you chosen a name?" she asked. "You didn't request this visit to discuss baby names." She smiled. That same sharp, knowing smile that had once made me feel like an outsider. Now I recognized it as fear. "The appeals court decision comes tomorrow," she said. "Last chance to recant your testimony." "And let you in?" "Oh, Fiona." She leaned forward. "I already won. Every move you made was orchestrated. Every piece of evidence, every revelation, all part of my design. Except one thing." I placed a folder on the table between us. The original insurance investigation from my mother's death. The real one. Not the doctored version you showed the police. Her fingers twitched. That tell I'd learned to recognize. "Mia gave you that?" "No. I found it myself. In the one place you'd never think to look. My father's old yoga studio. The one place that never burned." For the first time, I saw genuine surprise crack through her facade. "The investigator knew about the accelerant," I continued. "About the timing. About everything. He just needed one person brave enough to come forward." "And you think that makes you the hero of this story?" "No. It makes me my mother's daughter." The guard approached, signaling time was up. I stood, one hand supporting my belly. "You know what I realized, Clara? You didn't orchestrate my revenge. You taught me how to take it. And now your own lesson is burning you alive." She grabbed my wrist as I turned to leave. "Family is forever, Fiona. Blood always tells." "You're right." I pulled free. "That's why I'm breaking the cycle." Outside, Landon waited by his car. He'd lost weight in the months since the trial, lost that polished shine Clara had cultivated so carefully. "The restaurant sold," he said. "New owners take possession tomorrow." "And Tessa?" "Took the plea deal, 5 years." He hesitated. "And Mia?" "Gone, like she was always meant to be." I touched my belly. Some aunts are better as ghosts. The wind carried the scent of autumn, of endings and beginnings, of smoke cleared from the air. "I never wanted," he started. "I know." And I did know. He'd been Clara's first victim, shaped by her flames since childhood. "That's why I'm giving you a choice." I handed him an envelope. Inside was a copy of my mother's investigation report, along with divorce papers. "Choose who you want to be," I said. "Your mother's son or your child's father. But choose carefully, because this time I'm the one watching for flames." He took the envelope, his hands trembling slightly. "And if I choose wrong? Then you'll learn what your mother taught me. Some fires are meant to destroy, but others..." I smiled, feeling my baby move again. "Others forge something stronger from the ashes." My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Like mother, like daughter. The game never ends. I deleted it without responding. Let them plot and scheme. I had my own legacy to build now. One that wouldn't need flames to flourish. Landon watched me walk away. The envelope clutched in his hands like a lifeline or a death sentence. His choice to make. In my car, I touched the steering wheel where my mother's hands had once rested, back when she taught me to drive, back before Clara's first fire claimed her. The leather was warm, like skin, like truth, like revenge served at exactly the right temperature. I started the engine, feeling the future kick inside me, a future built not on Clara's ashes, but on my own strength. Let them wonder who really won. Let them search for hidden messages and secret schemes. Some victories don't need witnesses. Some revenge is best served in silence, in the quiet moments between heartbeats, in the space between what was destroyed and what rises in its place. I drove away from the prison, from Landon, from the weight of 2 generations of fire and revenge. The sun painted the sky in shades of amber and gold, like flames frozen in time, like a reminder that even the brightest fires eventually burn themselves out. But some embers never die. They just wait, patient as karma, for the right moment to ignite.
You're our last hope, sweetie. Please. Her voice cracked like she'd been crying for hours, and I swear I could hear her clutching a tissue on the other end of the line. I sat frozen on the edge of my couch, my phone on speaker, both hands gripping my coffee mug like it could anchor me. We're being evicted, Scarlett. They're locking the doors Friday. We didn't want to tell you, we didn't want to burden you, but... My mother choked back a sob. My name's Scarlett, and if you've ever had a parent weaponize tears, you already know how this story starts. I thought you said everything was fine last month, I asked, my voice too calm, too flat. I knew that tone. It was the one I used in corporate meetings when someone was lying straight to my face. It was, she said quickly. But then your father's hours got cut, and the mortgage, well, we fell behind. We tried, honey, we tried everything. I heard a muffled voice in the background. Dad, probably. He never called me himself. He let Mom do the emotional heavy lifting, like always. We didn't want to come to you, she added, but Brendan's tied up with Elena's wedding plans, and he's already done so much for us. And you're always so responsible, so smart. There it was, the compliment that felt like a leash. I just launched my business, I said, staring at the half-packed boxes of bath bombs and candle jars in my living room. I haven't even opened the online store yet. I know, baby, and we're so proud of you. But we're talking about being on the street. Do you understand that? I didn't answer. Because I did understand. I understood that I had $27,000 in my savings account, every cent I'd scraped together over the last 4 years to escape the 9-to-5 grind. I understood that I had no backup plan, no safety net, and no one else to bail me out if things went sideways. But I also understood my mother. She'd been pulling this kind of thing since I was 10. The dramatic breakdowns, the guilt, the way she always made it sound like I was the only one who could save her. And somehow, despite everything, I still wanted to be the daughter who could. How much? I asked. She sniffled. 25, just to catch up. We'll pay you back, I swear, with interest. I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just slipped out. Scarlett, she snapped, her voice sharpening like a knife. This isn't funny. No, I said. It's not. There was a long pause, then softer. We raised you. We gave you everything. All we're asking for is a little help. Family helps each other. Except when it came to Brendan. Brendan got help without asking. Brendan got a new car at 22, a down payment for his condo, a job through Mum's cousin even though he failed out of college twice. I got lectures about independence and pulling my own weight. But sure, family helps each other. I'll transfer it tonight, I said. Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you. You don't know what this means. I hung up before she could say anything else. I stared at the wall for a long time. Then I opened my banking app and drained my account. $27,000. Gone. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my stomach twisted in knots. Something felt off. Not just the usual regret or anxiety. Something wrong. I grabbed my phone and opened Facebook. My parents hadn't posted anything in weeks. No status updates, no photos, not even a shared meme. That alone was weird. My mum usually posted daily. Pictures of her garden, inspirational quotes, passive-aggressive rants about some people not calling their mothers enough. I clicked on Brendan's profile. Nothing new there either, but his page was mostly private. I scrolled anyway, looking for anything. Any sign that they were struggling, that they really needed the money. Nothing. I checked my mum's friends list, clicked on a few names. Still nothing. No tagged photos, no check-ins. It was like they'd gone dark. I told myself I was being paranoid, that they were embarrassed, that maybe they didn't want people to know they were losing the house, but the feeling didn't go away. I got up, walked into the kitchen and opened the fridge, empty except for almond milk and a jar of pickles. I'd been living lean for months, putting everything into my business. I hadn't bought new clothes in over a year. I skipped dinners out. I made my own soap, for God's sake, and I just handed over every dollar I had. I leaned against the counter, gripping the edge until my knuckles went white. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was just hollow. The next morning, I texted Ariel. Me. I did it. Gave them the money. Ariel. Oh, Scar, are you okay? Me. Not really. Ariel. Want me to come over? Me. No, I just need to clear my head. I spent the rest of the day labelling candle jars and trying not to think about it. But that night, I checked their profiles again. Still nothing. Still that gnawing feeling in my gut. I didn't know it yet, but I just lit the first match, and everything was about to burn. 2 weeks later, I was in line at Target, holding a $12 planner I couldn't afford, when my phone buzzed with a notification. Brendan Wood tagged you in a photo. I froze. Brendan never tagged me in anything. I tapped it open, expecting a throwback, or maybe some passive-aggressive family post. It was a cruise photo. Him, shirtless, grinning with a drink in each hand. Mom in a sun hat, Dad in a Hawaiian shirt. All three of them, arms around each other, standing on the deck of a massive ship with crystal blue water behind them. The caption read, "Best trip ever, courtesy of Mom and Dad. Blessed Dying Family. First, by Royal Cruise." My stomach dropped so hard I nearly dropped the planner. The timestamp? 4 days after I wired them the money. I stepped out of line and walked straight to the Starbucks inside the store. I needed to sit. I needed to breathe. I needed to not throw my phone across the room. I zoomed in on the photo, every detail burning into my brain. And then I saw it. Around my mum's neck, my necklace, the one I'd made as a prototype for my shop. A simple pendant with dried lavender and resin. I only made 5. I gave one to Ariel, one I kept. The other 3 were in the box I'd packed for family samples. I'd mailed them a week before the phone call. She wore it like a trophy. I called Ariel. "Hey," she answered chipper. "How's Target therapy?" "I need you to look at Brendan's latest post, right now." There was a pause, then a sharp inhale. No way. Yep. They're on a cruise. Not just a cruise, a luxury cruise. Look at the drinks. Look at the background. Oh my God. Scarlett, you gave them your entire savings. Yeah, I said, staring blankly at the photo. And apparently, I funded their floating buffet. Are you okay? Like, do I need to come get you? I'm fine, I lied. I'm just processing. Do you want me to comment on it? She asked. Something subtle but savage? No, not yet. I ended the call and sat there for a long time, watching the likes and comments pile up. You guys look amazing. So jealous. Enjoy every second. Family goals. I wanted to scream. Instead, I scrolled through Brendan's tagged photos, looking for more clues. There were 5 more posts. One showed them in a private cabana, another at a fancy dinner, Mom holding a glass of champagne, Dad laughing like he didn't just fake financial ruin. Brendan posted a boomerang of them dancing at what looked like a casino night on the ship. I clicked on one of the comments. Didn't y'all just say you were having money problems? LOL, this don't look broke. No reply. I opened my banking app, still drained. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Not from sadness, not even from shock, from rage. I'd been scammed, by my own family. I left the planner on the Starbucks table and walked straight out of the store. Back home, I yanked open the closet where I kept my shipping supplies. I pulled out the box I'd sent them, the one with the sample products. I'd taken a photo of its contents before mailing it. I pulled up the picture on my phone. All 3 necklaces were there. I zoomed in on the one my mum was wearing in the cruise photo. Same lavender pattern, same chain length, same tiny imperfection in the resin swirl. They'd planned this. They knew exactly what they were doing. I started pacing. My hands shook. I called my mom. Voicemail. I tried Dad. Straight to voicemail. I didn't bother with Brendan. He wouldn't answer anyway. I texted all 3. Me. Hope the cruise is nice. Must be a relief not to be homeless after all. No reply. I waited an hour. Nothing. Ariel came over with wine and a frozen pizza. "I don't even know what to say," she said, curling up on my couch. "This is next-level evil." "They lied to my face," I said, pacing. "They cried. They guilted me. And then they took everything I had and went on vacation." "Scarlett, you have to confront them." "No," I said. "I'm not going to scream or cry or beg for an apology. That's what they want. That's how they win." "So what then?" "I'm going to make sure they never do this to me or anyone else again." Ariel blinked. "Okay, but how?" I didn't answer right away. I sat down, pulled my laptop onto my knees, and opened a new spreadsheet. "First," I said, "I'm going to find out exactly how much they've taken from me over the years. And then?" I looked her dead in the eye. "And then I'm going to take it back." She raised her glass. "To karma." I clinked mine against hers. "To karma, and to the fire I was about to start." "You kept records of all this?" Ariel asked, eyes wide as she stared at the spreadsheet on my laptop. "Not on purpose," I said, clicking through tabs. "But I've got email receipts, Venmo logs, old texts. It adds up. How much are we talking?" I scrolled down to the bottom. $42,700 over the last 7 years. Ariel whistled. "Jesus, that's a whole-ass car. Or a down payment, or a business loan, or literally anything other than funding Brendan's laziness and my parents' fake emergencies." We sat on my living room floor, surrounded by boxes of candle inventory and empty coffee mugs. I hadn't slept much. My focus had tunneled into one thing: the truth. I wanted to know every dollar, every lie. "I found something else," I said, pulling out a manila folder from a box I hadn't opened in years. "This was from when I moved out of their house. I shoved everything in here." I dumped the contents onto the floor. Old pay stubs, junk mail, a few birthday cards, and a folded letter. "What's that?" Ariel asked. I opened it. My hands went still. It was handwritten, my dad's scratchy cursive, unmistakable. "Scarlett, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for what we allowed, for not standing up for you more. You didn't deserve it. I hope you find peace even if it's not with us." No date, no envelope, no signature, just guilt pressed into paper and never sent. Ariel leaned over to read it. "Holy?" He knew. "He knew," I said, voice flat. "And he still let it happen." I folded the letter and slid it back into the folder. "All right, enough mourning. Time to get to work. What's the plan?" "I want to hit where it hurts, financially, socially, emotionally, but I need leverage." We started with Brendan. I dug through his LinkedIn. His job at the marketing firm looked cushy. Remote, 6 figures, all perks. I checked his public Instagram, then his fiancée's, Eleanor. She posted everything. Engagement ring photos, brunches, gym selfies, even screenshots of sweet texts from Brendan. "Look at this," I said, showing Ariel a post from Elena. "She thinks he saved up for that ring." Ariel squinted. "Isn't that your bank transfer date?" "Exactly." We kept digging. I found a Reddit account that matched Brendan's username. He posted in crypto groups, bragged about flipping NFTs, even mentioned borrowing family money for investments. I took screenshots of everything. Then I checked my credit reports. "Holy crap," I muttered. "What?" Ariel leaned over. "There's a life insurance policy under my name, taken out 3 years ago. Listed owner? Michael Ward? Wait, your dad took out a policy on you? Apparently. That's not normal." "No, it's not." I called the insurance company. After a 30-minute hold and a lot of verification, I confirmed it. My dad had taken out a $100,000 policy on me. I wasn't even aware of it. No beneficiary listed. Just sitting there. I ended the call and stared at the wall. "They've been planning for my failure," I said. "Or worse." Ariel reached for my hand. "We're going to flip this. I swear." We spent the next few days building the foundation. I created a burner email, posed as a real estate investor. I found a guy named Morgan through a business contact who specialized in flipping family homes in our area. I asked him if he'd play along for a cut. He agreed instantly. "I'll offer them 3 times market value," I said. They'll be too greedy to say no. And then what? Then I'll own the house. Ariel grinned. You're terrifying. I'm just done playing nice. We also started collecting receipts. I printed out every bank transfer, every Venmo note, every I'll pay you back text. We organised them into folders, one for my parents, one for Brendan. Then I drafted a timeline, every manipulation, every lie, every favour that turned into a trap. The more I wrote, the more I remembered. Like the time I loaned Brendan $500 for car repairs and later saw him post a photo with new sneakers and a bottle of Dom. Or when Mum told me she had cancer, only for it to turn out to be a scare that somehow required a $2,000 loan. Or when they sold my grandmother's heirloom necklace, something I was promised, and told me it had been lost in the move. I added it all. By the end of the week, I had a binder full of evidence and a fire in my chest that wouldn't go out. Ariel looked over the pages. So what's next? I plant the seed, I said. Then I let it grow. I sent the first email to Morgan and copied Ariel. It was short and sweet. Subject: Interested buyer. Quick close. Body: I represent a client looking to purchase a home in your neighbourhood. We're offering triple market value for a fast, no contingency close. Please contact me if interested. I attached a photo of my parents' house. Then I hit send. Ariel raised her glass of ginger ale. To poetic payback. I clinked mine against hers. To finally getting what I'm owed. Scarlett, you're going to want to see this. Ariel spun her laptop around at the cafe table. On the screen was a forwarded email from Morgan. Subject: Interested buyer. 3x market value. From Christine. Body: Hello. We received your inquiry and are very interested. We've been thinking of downsizing anyway. Please let us know next steps. Christine and Michael. I blinked. That was fast. They replied within 6 hours, Ariel said, sipping her iced coffee. Greed works faster than guilt. I stared at the message. My parents had lived in that house for over 25 years. They'd always said they'd die in it. But now? One whiff of easy money and they were ready to pack. Okay, I said, pulling out my phone. Time to turn up the pressure. I opened Brendan's company website, found the HR contact, and sent an anonymous tip through the complaint portal. It was short and direct. Subject: Employee conduct concern. Message: One of your marketing managers, Brendan, is actively running side businesses during work hours and using company resources. Might want to check his Reddit history and crypto wallets. A concerned observer, I attached screenshots. Ariel raised an eyebrow. You're really doing this? I'm not even halfway done. Later that night, I was labelling candle jars when my phone buzzed with a DM. From Eleanor Fox 31. Message: Hey, I know we've never really talked, but I think we need to. I saw something I wasn't supposed to. Can we meet? I stared at the screen. Ariel glanced over. Elena? Yeah. You think she found out? Only one way to find out? I sent her a reply. Me. Sure. Tomorrow? Noon at Grounded Cafe? Elena. I'll be there. The next day, I got there early. Elena walked in 5 minutes late, sunglasses on, hair in a messy bun, looking like she hadn't slept. She spotted me, hesitated, then walked over. Thanks for meeting me, she said, sitting down. What's going on? She pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, and turned the screen to me. It was a bank statement. Brendan's. The highlighted transaction, $27,000, from my account, labelled gift from Scarlett. I felt my jaw tighten. I found this on his laptop, she said. He left it open. I wasn't snooping, but then I saw the amount and I remembered him bragging that he paid for my ring himself. I nodded slowly. He didn't. I asked him about it. He said you offered it, said you were finally trying to be part of the family. I laughed, bitter and sharp. He really said that? She looked down. I believed him, at first, but then I saw the cruise photos and your necklace, and I remembered what you said at Thanksgiving last year, about always being the backup plan. I leaned forward. Elena, I'm going to be honest with you. They lied to me. They told me they were being evicted, that they had no one else. I gave them everything I had, and then they went on vacation. Her eyes welled up. I'm so sorry. I shook my head. Don't be. You didn't do this. She hesitated. I want to help. I don't know how, but I can't marry someone who lies like this, who steals from his own sister. I pulled out a flash drive and slid it across the table. What's this? She asked. Proof? Screenshots, bank statements, insurance policies. Everything they've done. I was going to go public eventually, but maybe you can help me do it with style. She took the drive. I've got a friend who runs a TikTok account that exposes scammers, like millions of followers. If we do this right, I smiled. Let's do it right. That night, I got a call from my mother. Hi, sweetheart, she chirped, like nothing had ever happened. We're coming home early. The cruise was lovely, but we missed our beds. We were thinking, maybe we could stay with you for a few days while we get things sorted. I stared at the phone, stunned by the audacity. Sure, I said sweetly. I'll get things ready. As soon as the call ended, I texted Curtis. Me. Time to flip the switch. Curtis? You sure? Me. Oh, I'm sure. Curtis, my landlord and part-time handyman, had been helping me with a side project, one I hadn't told anyone about except Ariel. While my parents were floating in the Caribbean, I'd been busy buying their house, through Morgan, using a shell LLC Ariel and I set up. Thanks to a weird zoning clause and an unpaid lien from 5 years ago, we got the house for less than they expected. The triple offer email? Bait. They signed the paperwork without reading the fine print. Now, the house was mine, and they had no clue. Curtis met me that evening with a ladder and a banner. We hung it across the garage door in bold red letters. Welcome home, Les. The next morning, I parked across the street and waited. Their Uber pulled up around 10 a.m. Mum stepped out first, dragging a pink suitcase. Dad followed, looking sunburned and annoyed. Brendan wasn't with them. They walked up to the door. Mum reached for her keys. Nothing. She tried again. Still nothing. She turned to Dad, confused. Then she looked up. She saw the banner. She read it. And then she saw me. I stepped out of my car, leaned against the hood and waved. Hi, Mum. Her face drained of colour. What is this? She asked, voice shaking. I held up a manila envelope. Deed transfer. You sold the house. To me. Dad looked like he'd been punched. You can't do this, Mum whispered. I already did. She stumbled back a step. Where are we supposed to go? I pointed to the side of the driveway. A brand new RV sat parked, fully stocked, courtesy of their own cruise fund. There's your new home, I said. Enjoy the view? And then I walked away. Christine stood frozen in the driveway, her suitcase tipped over, clothes spilling onto the pavement. Michael looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 seconds. I didn't move. I just watched. You bought our house? She finally asked, voice brittle. No, I said. You sold it. You just didn't bother reading the paperwork. Michael stepped forward, eyes darting. Scarlett, let's be reasonable. This is a mistake. We were misled. You weren't misled, I said. You were greedy. You saw a big number and signed without thinking. That's on you. Christine's lip trembled. But we raised you, I laughed, and then you robbed me. She dropped to sit on the curb, mascara already smudging under her eyes. Where are we supposed to go? I pointed again. The RV's yours, fully stocked. Shower, fridge, queen bed. It's more than you deserve. Michael opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He just looked at the house, then at me, then back at the house. Christine was already dialing her phone. Brendan, she said into the receiver, we need you to come here, right now. It's Scarlett. She's taken everything. I turned to leave. You're going to regret this, she called after me. I didn't even flinch. Later that night, Ariel and I sat on my patio with wine and takeout. She scrolled through TikTok, shaking her head in disbelief. Elena's friend posted the first video. It's already at 300,000 views. I leaned over to look. The video was a slideshow of screenshots. Brendan's bank transfer, the cruise photos, my necklace, the insurance policy. Overlaid with text. When your family scams you out of your life savings, so you buy their house and evict them. The sound? A slowed-down version of Karma by Taylor Swift. Comments are wild, Ariel said. People are calling you a legend. I didn't smile. Not yet. My phone buzzed. Voicemail. Brendan. I played it on speaker. You think this is funny? You think you're some kind of hero? You just destroyed our family. You humiliated Mom and Dad. You made Elena leave me. You're sick, Scarlett. You've always been jealous, and now you've gone too far. You'll end up alone. You'll always be alone. Ariel's eyebrows shot up. Wow, that's a lot of projection. I deleted the message and took another sip of wine. The next morning, Eleanor texted me. Elena. He's spiraling. He got fired. His boss saw the Reddit screenshots too. Me. I'm sorry. Elena. Don't be. He needed a wake-up call, and I needed to see the truth. A few hours later, I got another email from Morgan. Subject. Final transfer confirmed. Body. Congrats, Scarlett. The house is officially yours. No contest. They signed everything. I forwarded it to Ariel with a single emoji. That afternoon, Christine and Michael returned to the house. I was already there, organising the garage. Christine approached slowly, her face puffy and pale. We want to talk. I didn't stop working. Talk? We didn't know what we were doing, she said. We were desperate. You were never desperate, I snapped. You were just entitled. Michael cleared his throat. We can't live in an RV. You can. You just don't want to. Christine looked at me like she didn't recognise me. You've changed. I looked her dead in the eye. No, I just stopped letting you lie to me. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. For once, she had nothing to say. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. Want to hear something fun? I pressed play on the voicemail from Brendan. The words echoed through the garage. You just destroyed our family. You humiliated Mom and Dad. You'll always be alone. Christine's face crumpled. Not from guilt, no. From the sound of her golden boy blaming her for everything. You recorded him? Michael asked, stunned. No, I said. He left it willingly. That's who he really is. Christine turned away, covering her mouth. You can stay in the RV until the end of the month, I said. After that, you'll need to find somewhere else. Michael looked like he wanted to argue, but Christine just nodded. They walked back down the driveway, slower than I'd ever seen them move. That night, I lit one of my candles, lavender and a eucalyptus, and sat on the floor of my new living room. My living room. The house was still half full of their leftover furniture, but it already felt different, lighter, like the ghosts were finally leaving. Ariel texted me a link. Ariel. You're trending again. I clicked it. Another TikTok. This one had clips of the voicemail, spliced with photos of my candles and bath products. The caption read, She got scammed, got even, and got her business off the ground. Karma Queen energy. I scrolled through the comments. Where can I buy her stuff? I'd bathe in those candles out of pure respect. She needs a Netflix deal. I laughed for the first time in days. Then my phone buzzed again. New email. Subject. Wholesale inquiry. Tomekulwurb. Info willowandpineboutique.com. Body. We saw your story and love your products. Interested in stocking your line in all 12 of our regional locations? Let's talk. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Ariel called instantly. Did you see it? I saw it. Scarlett, this is it. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Yeah, it is. And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. Curtis stood at the edge of the driveway, arms crossed, watching Brendan's black SUV screech to a stop. He's here, he muttered. I didn't need the warning. I could hear the tires, the door slam, the angry footsteps pounding against the concrete. Brendan came storming up the lawn, face red, fists clenched. What the hell is wrong with you? I didn't flinch. Good to see you too. You humiliated Mom and Dad. You made Elena leave me. You got me fired. Are you proud of yourself? I tilted my head. I didn't get you fired. You did that all by yourself. I just helped the truth come out." He pointed a shaking finger at me. "You think you're some kind of hero? You're just bitter. You've always been jealous of me." Curtis stepped forward. "Hey, you need to calm down." Brendan turned on him. "Who the hell are you?" "Landlord, and the guy who helped install that RV you're now living in." Brendan blinked. "You're joking." "Nope," I said. "You're looking at the new homeowner." He looked at the house, then back at me. "You bought it?" "Technically, you all sold it. I just made the offer." He laughed, but it was sharp and hollow. "You're insane." "No," I said. "I'm done being your doormat." Christine appeared in the doorway of the RV, her face pale and pinched. "Brendan, stop. You're making it worse." He ignored her. "You think this makes you powerful? You think this makes you better than us?" "No," I said. "It just makes me free." He stepped closer. "You think karma's on your side? You think people are actually rooting for you?" I pulled out my phone. "Want to see the numbers? TikTok's at 1.4 million views. The boutique deal's signed. I've got 5 new wholesale requests in my inbox. People don't just believe me, they're buying from me." Brendan stared at me like I'd grown horns. "You're gonna regret this. One day, when you're alone and bitter and broke, you'll wish you'd stayed quiet." I looked him in the eye. "You already said that, in your voicemail. Want me to play it again?" That shut him up. He turned and stormed back to the SUV, slamming the door so hard the whole car shook. He peeled out of the driveway, tires screeching. Christine walked over slowly, arms crossed. "You've ruined everything." "No," I said. "I just stopped pretending everything was okay." She looked at me like she wanted to say something else. Maybe scream, maybe cry, but instead, she turned and walked back into the RV. Curtis let out a low whistle. That was intense. I exhaled. "Yeah. You good?" I nodded. "Better than I've been in years." He clapped a hand on my shoulder. "You ever need a beer, an event session, you know where to find me." "Thanks, Curtis." After he left, I sat on the porch steps and watched the sun dip low behind the trees. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that used to make me uneasy. Now, it felt like peace. My phone buzzed again. Another email. Subject: Feature request. From Local Living Magazine. Body: We'd love to do a story on your candles and your journey. Let us know if you're interested. I smiled. Then I heard the RV door creak open. Michael stepped out, holding a small box. He walked over and placed it on the porch. "What's this?" I asked. He didn't meet my eyes. "Some old stuff of yours. Thought you might want it." I opened the box. Inside were a few childhood drawings, a cracked snow globe, and the necklace my grandmother left me, the one they told me was lost. I looked up at him. "I didn't know she left it for you," he said quietly. "Christine sold it without telling me. I bought it back last week." "Why?" He shrugged. "Because some things can't be undone, but maybe they can be acknowledged." I didn't say anything. I just nodded. He turned and walked back to the RV. That night, Ariel came over with takeout again. We sat on the floor of my new living room, eating noodles straight from the containers. "So," she said, mouth full. "What now?" "Now I build," I said. "The business, the brand, my peace." She raised her chopsticks. "To karma." I raised mine. "To consequences." We clinked them together like champagne flutes. Later, after she left, I walked through the house. I opened each door, turned on each light. I stood in the kitchen, where my mum used to lecture me. The hallway where Brendan shoved me when we were kids. The living room where I was always told to keep it down. Then I went into my old bedroom. It was still painted pale yellow. The closet still had stickers on the inside of the door. I sat on the bed and pulled out the letter from my dad, the one he never sent. I reread it. "I hope you find peace, even if it's not with us." I folded it carefully and placed it in a frame. Then I hung it on the wall. A reminder, not of what I lost, but of what I finally took back. Christine banged on the front door at 9 a.m. sharp. I opened it slowly, coffee mug in hand. "Can I help you?" She stood there in full makeup, hair curled, wearing a blazer like she was headed to court. Michael hovered behind her, silent. "We've spoken to a lawyer," she said, "and we want to give you one last chance to undo this before we take legal action." I took a sip of my coffee. "Undo what exactly?" "You tricked us into selling our home," she snapped. "That offer was fraudulent." I raised an eyebrow. "You signed a legally binding contract. You had every opportunity to review it." Michael cleared his throat. "You used a fake buyer. That's deception." "No," I said. "That's business. You wanted fast money. You got it. Now you're mad because it didn't come with control." Christine's voice rose. "We're your parents. And you used that title to rob me blind," I said, stepping outside and closing the door behind me. "You lied about being evicted. You used my savings to go on vacation. You let Brendan steal from me. And when I finally stood up for myself, you called me cruel." Neighbours were starting to peek through blinds. Christine noticed. "You think this is justice?" she hissed. "You think the internet clapping for you makes it right?" "No," I said. "What makes it right is that you finally have to live with the consequences. Publicly." Michael stepped forward, voice low. "You're going to regret this, Scarlett." I looked him in the eye. "I already did. For years. Not anymore." Christine's face twisted. "You'll end up alone." I smiled. "Better alone than lied to." She turned and stormed off. Michael followed, slower, glancing back once. I didn't wave. By noon, Brendan showed up. I was in the garage, organising candle shipments. He didn't knock. He just walked in. "You've ruined our family," he said, voice tight. I didn't even look up. "You ruined it. I just stopped pretending. You humiliated us. You made us look like criminals." "You are criminals," I said, finally turning to face him. "You stole from me. You lied. You manipulated. And now you're mad because people know." He stepped closer. "You made Eleanor leave." "No," I said. "You did that when you lied to her. When you used my money to buy her ring. She would have never known if you hadn't—" "Exactly," I cut in. "She would have never known. That's your problem." He stared at me, breathing hard. "You think you're better than us now?" "No," I said. "I think I'm finally nothing like you." He looked around the garage, at the labelled boxes, the shelves of candles, the framed articles on the wall. "You think this little business makes you powerful?" I pulled out a letter from a stack. "This is from a boutique in Portland. They want to carry my line. That's my third new retailer this week." He scoffed. "You're still going to end up bitter and alone." I shrugged. "Maybe, but I'll be honest. And solvent." He walked out without another word. That night, Ariel came over with a bottle of champagne. "I saw the article in Local Living," she said, popping the cork. "They called you the Candle Queen of Karma." I laughed. "That's ridiculous. Scarlett, you're literally trending again. People are making reaction videos to your story." I pulled out my phone and opened TikTok. One of the top videos showed a dramatic reenactment. Someone playing me, someone playing Christine, fake tears and all. The comments were wild. "This is better than any Netflix drama." She didn't burn bridges. She lit candles on them. I'd buy from her just to support the revenge. I scrolled through orders on my shop dashboard. Over 1,200 pending. "I need to hire help," I muttered. Ariel raised her glass. "To success. And revenge." I clinked mine against hers. "To finally being free." The next morning, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address. Handwritten. I opened it slowly. Inside was a short note. "Scarlett, you didn't deserve what we did. I see that now. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope one day you'll believe I loved you, even if I didn't show it right. Dad." I stared at the paper for a long time. Then I folded it and placed it next to the first letter, the one he never sent. By evening, the RV was gone. No goodbye, no note, just an empty driveway and silence. I stood at the window, watching the sun set over the street. Ariel texted me. Ariel. "They're gone?" Me. "Yeah." Ariel. "How do you feel?" I stared at the screen. Then I typed. "Me. Lighter." I locked the door and turned off the porch light. For once, I wasn't waiting for anyone to come home, because I already was. I was restocking shelves at the pop-up market booth when a woman walked up, holding one of my lavender candles. "Is this the one from the video?" she asked, grinning. "Depends which video," I said, smiling back. "The one where you bought your parents' house after they scammed you?" I nodded. "That's the one." She laughed. "Iconic. I've been following the whole thing. My sister and I binged every TikTok. You're kind of a legend." I handed her a wrapped version of the candle. "Glad you like it." As she walked off, Ariel appeared behind the booth, balancing coffee cups. "You just got recognized again. That's the third one today." I took my cup. "It's weird." "It's awesome," she said. "You turned trauma into a brand." I gave her a look. "Okay, fine. You turned survival into a brand. Better? Closer." We packed up the booth an hour later, loading boxes into her car. Business had exploded since the videos went viral. I'd hired 2 part-time helpers, rented a small studio space, and was shipping orders faster than I could make them. As we drove back to the house, Ariel glanced at me. "You ever think about reaching out to them?" I didn't answer right away. "No," I said finally. "They made their choice, and I made mine." She nodded. "Fair." Back at the house, I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The air smelled like vanilla and eucalyptus, one of the new blends. The walls were freshly painted. The furniture was mine now. The ghosts were gone. Ariel flopped onto the couch. "So, what's next?" I opened a box of new candle labels. "I keep going. Build the business. Maybe open a storefront someday." She smiled. "You're not scared anymore?" "No," I said. "I'm not." There was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Curtis holding a small envelope. "This came to the old mailbox," he said. "Thought you'd want it." I took it and thanked him. He nodded and walked off. Back inside, I opened the envelope. A check fell out. My breath caught. It was from Eleanor. Amount: $13,500 memo. My half: "I'm sorry it took so long." A note was folded with it. Scarlett: "I sold the ring. I figured it should go toward making things right. Thank you for showing me the truth. I hope you're doing well." Elena. I stared at the check for a long time, not because of the money, but because someone had actually tried to make amends. I showed it to Ariel. "Wow," she said. "Didn't see that coming." Me neither. I set the check aside and pulled a small frame from the bookshelf. Inside was the letter my dad never sent, the one I'd found in that old suitcase. I hung it on the wall of my office, right above my desk. A reminder, not of pain, of clarity, of the moment I stopped letting them define me. Later that night, I sat alone in the living room, a candle burning beside me, soft music playing in the background. The house was quiet, not the kind of quiet that feels empty, the kind that feels earned. My phone buzzed. New order, 3 items. Customer, I will note. Saw your story. Buying from you feels like lighting a little justice in my living room. I smiled. I wasn't cruel. I was just finally someone they couldn't lie to.
The note sat on my kitchen counter like a coiled snake. Crisp white paper, perfectly folded, unsigned. I picked it up with trembling fingers, my black funeral dress still damp from the afternoon rain. The words were typed, clinical. David wasn't who you thought he was. Neither is Owen. My name is Riley, and I buried my husband today. Mom, Logan's voice echoed from the foyer. Need help with those flowers? Just leave them, I called back, shoving the note into my pocket. The last thing I needed was my youngest son seeing this, not when we were all barely holding it together. The house filled with the murmur of funeral guests, their hollow condolences and casseroles cluttering my space. I pressed my palms against the cool granite countertop, steadying myself. "Mrs. Harrison?" Chloe's sugar-sweet voice made my shoulders tense. Owen and I were thinking, since everyone's already here, maybe we could discuss the wedding plans? I turned to face my future daughter-in-law, her perfectly manicured hand resting possessively on Owen's arm. My oldest son wouldn't meet my eyes. My husband isn't even cold in his grave, Chloe. Mother, Owen cut in, his voice sharp. Chloe's just trying to be practical. The venue we want needs 6 months' notice, and with Dad's inheritance... Don't, the word came out like a whip crack. Not today. Logan appeared in the doorway, his tie loosened, looking so much like his father it made my chest ache. Everything okay in here? Just perfect, Chloe smiled, but her eyes remained cold. Owen, honey, let's go mingle. Your father's colleagues from the hospital are asking for you. I watched them leave, the note burning in my pocket. David had been the perfect husband, the respected surgeon, our family's foundation. But that paper whispered of cracks I'd refused to see. They're vultures, Logan muttered, reaching past me for a water glass. You know Owen's been meeting with Dad's investment manager? Before the funeral? My hand instinctively touched my pocket. Has he? Something about expediting the transfer process. Logan's jaw tightened. Chloe's been pushing him. That wedding venue she wants? It's $90,000. The room swayed slightly. David and I had built our life carefully, saving every penny from our medical careers. The thought of our legacy being squandered on Chloe's champagne dreams made bile rise in my throat. Mom? Logan touched my arm. You're white as a sheet. I'm fine. I wasn't. The note's words kept repeating in my head. David wasn't who you thought he was. Neither is Owen. A burst of laughter from the living room made us both turn. Chloe stood in the center of a group, her black dress more suitable for a cocktail party than a funeral, gesturing animatedly. Owen hovered nearby, that familiar anxious look on his face that appeared whenever she was performing. I should go check on the guests, I said, but Logan caught my wrist. Wait, he lowered his voice. There's something else. I found some paperwork in Dad's study last night, investment statements that don't make sense. Owen's name is all over them. The note wasn't lying. My hands started to shake again, but this time not from grief. Thank you, Logan. I need to make some calls tomorrow. Mom? His concerned expression mirrored his father's, but I couldn't bear it right now. Everything will be fine, I lied, patting his cheek. Go help your brother entertain. Alone in the kitchen, I pulled out the note again. The typed letters blurred as fury replaced my numbness. David might be gone, but I was still here. And if Owen thought he could dismantle everything we'd built, he was about to learn something about his mother he never suspected. I crumpled the paper and let it fall into the trash. Somewhere in the house, Chloe laughed again, the sound like breaking glass. Let them think I was just the grieving widow. They'd learn soon enough. 3 days after the funeral, I found myself staring at David's investment portfolio spread across our dining room table. The numbers swam before my eyes, each page revealing another layer of confusion. 20 years of marriage, and I'd never questioned his financial decisions. Now every statement felt like an accusation. The doorbell rang, startling me from my thoughts. Through the window, I spotted Owen's Tesla parked in the driveway, Chloe perched in the passenger seat examining her reflection. Mother? Owen's voice carried that forced cheerfulness he'd developed lately. We brought lunch. I gathered the papers quickly, tucking them into a folder. Come in. Chloe swept past me, designer shopping bags dangling from her arm. I hope you don't mind, but I've been looking at wedding venues. The Rosewood Manor is absolutely perfect. The Rosewood? I remember David and I discussing it years ago for Owen's college graduation. Even then, it had been outrageously expensive. Isn't that a bit extravagant? Owen finished, setting down takeout containers. We think it's worth it. Actually, that's partly why we're here. We need to discuss the inheritance timeline. My chest tightened. It's been 3 days, Owen. Business doesn't wait, Mother. He pulled out his phone, all efficiency. The executor mentioned something about joint accounts needing to be... Stop. I pressed my palms flat against the table. Your father's accounts aren't going anywhere. Chloe's perfectly plucked eyebrows drew together. But the venue requires a 50% deposit by next week to hold our date. Owen mentioned there were some investments that could be liquidated. Those investments were your father's life's work. I cut in, watching Owen's face. Strange how some of the recent statements show unauthorized withdrawals. The room went still. Owen's phone slipped slightly in his grip. I don't know what you're implying, he said carefully, but a muscle jumped in his jaw. David's tell when he was lying. Don't you? I pulled out one statement. This transfer to Owen Harrison Enterprises dated 2 months ago. Did your father approve that while he was in intensive care? Chloe's hand found Owen's arm, squeezing. Honey, maybe we should... Dad gave me permission to manage certain accounts. Owen interrupted. He trusted my business acumen, unlike some people. The barb stung, but I held his gaze. Then you won't mind if I have our lawyer review everything? Mother. His voice dropped dangerously. Don't do this. Do what? Protect what your father built? Protect? He laughed harshly. You mean control. You've always resented my success, my ability to take risks, while you and Dad played it safe. Safe? The word tasted bitter. Your father worked 80-hour weeks saving lives while you gambled with his money. Owen, Chloe's voice held a warning. We should go. He ignored her, leaning across the table. I built something real. Dad saw that. He believed in me. Did he know about the foreclosure notices, the failed ventures, the investors threatening legal action? Owen's face went white. Behind him, Chloe's expression shifted from concern to calculation. Mrs. Harrison, she said smoothly, perhaps we all need time to grieve before making any hasty decisions about finances. Perhaps you need to stop planning million-dollar weddings with money that isn't yours. The doorbell rang again. Logan entered without waiting, stopping short at the tableau before him. Everything okay? He asked, eyes moving between us. Perfect timing, Owen snapped. Come to spy on me some more, little brother? What's that supposed to mean? I saw you going through Dad's study, running to Mommy with tales about Big Bad Owen. Someone had to, Logan shot back, while you were busy bleeding Dad's accounts dry. Enough! I slammed my hand down. Both sons fell silent, looking startlingly young for a moment. We're leaving, Chloe announced, tugging Owen's sleeve. Call us when you're ready to be reasonable about the wedding plans. I watched them go, Logan hovering uncertainly in the doorway. The takeout container sat unopened, another family meal ruined. Mom? Logan's voice was gentle. What do you need? I looked at the scattered papers, each one a piece of evidence in a betrayal I was only beginning to understand. I need you to tell me everything you found in your father's study, every detail. The front door slammed as Owen's Tesla roared to life. Through the window, I watched them speed away, my son and his fiancée, their perfect facade already showing cracks. They had no idea what was coming. The manila envelope arrived on a Tuesday, hand-delivered by David's former colleague at Memorial Hospital. Dr. Chen's face was grim as he passed it to me. I found these while clearing out David's office, he said quietly. You should see them. Inside were transaction records spanning the last 2 years of David's life. Each page revealed another betrayal, systematic transfers from the hospital's research foundation to Owen's various ventures. My son's signature appeared alongside my husband's, a twisted dance of numbers that made me sink into my chair. There's more, Dr. Chen said. The foundation board is meeting next week. They're planning an audit. The word audit hung in the air like smoke. I thought of Owen's Tesla, Chloe's designer wardrobe, the Rosewood Manor deposit they were so desperate to secure. How much? My voice sounded distant. Nearly $2 million. My hands began to shake. Did David know? I don't think so. The signatures? He hesitated. Some appear inconsistent with his later ones when he was in treatment. The implication turned my blood to ice. I remembered Owen visiting his father in the hospital, always with papers to sign, always when David was heavily medicated. My phone buzzed. A text from Chloe. Bridal shower planning lunch tomorrow? Already invited 50 of my closest friends. I set the phone face down as Dr. Chen continued. The board wants to keep this quiet, but if criminal charges are filed, I understand. I stood, suddenly needing to move. Thank you for bringing this to me first. After he left, I drove to Logan's design studio across town. He was working late, as usual, his computer screen reflecting off his glasses. Mom? He looked up, concerned. What's wrong? I placed the envelope on his desk. Read these. Tell me I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing. He scanned the documents, his expression darkening. Jesus Christ, Owen. Your father's reputation, my voice cracked. Everything he built. We have to go to the police and destroy what's left of this family. Mom, Logan's voice was gentle but firm. Owen's already destroyed it. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Owen. Meeting with wedding planner tomorrow. Need you to sign some papers for the venue deposit. Time sensitive. A bitter laugh escaped me. Time sensitive, like the foundation audit, like the foreclosure notices, like David's forged signatures. There's something else, Logan said, pulling up his email. Remember how I was looking into Chloe's background? She's been engaged 3 times before Owen. Each time there were financial irregularities with her fiancé's accounts. 2 restraining orders filed after breakups. The pieces clicked together with terrible clarity. I thought of Chloe's perfectly calculated smiles, her insistence on accessing David's accounts, her rush to secure the wedding venue. My phone rang. Chloe herself. Mrs. Harrison? Her voice dripped honey. About tomorrow's lunch. I've reserved the private room at La Maison. Just need you to call ahead and put down your credit card for the deposit. $20,000 should cover it. I watched Logan's face as he continued reading the documents. My son who stayed honest despite everything, who warned me while I refused to see. Actually, Chloe, I said, my voice steadier than I felt, I think we need to have a different kind of conversation. You, me, and Owen. About the hospital foundation. The line went silent for 3 heartbeats. I don't know what you're talking about. Her voice had lost its sweetness. Owen handles all the business matters. Yes, he certainly does. The board meeting next week should be interesting. She hung up. Within minutes, Owen was calling. I let it go to voicemail. Mom? Logan touched my arm. What are you going to do? I looked at the evidence spread across his desk. The proof of my son's betrayal, my husband's legacy in ruins, our family's reputation hanging by a thread. The grief I'd been carrying since David's death crystallized into something harder, colder. First, I said, gathering the papers, I'm going to that lunch tomorrow. Then I'm going to show them exactly who they're dealing with. Logan's eyes widened slightly. He'd never heard that tone in my voice before. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Chloe to Owen, accidentally sent to our family group chat. She knows. We need to move faster. I smiled, thinking of the unsigned note that started all this. They thought I was just the grieving widow, too broken to fight back. They were about to learn how wrong they were. La Maison's private dining room felt like a trap. Chloe had arranged the seating perfectly, herself at the head of the table, her bridesmaids flanking her like a royal court, and me isolated at the far end. I counted 23 designer handbags worth more than my car. Mrs. Harrison, Chloe clinked her champagne glass. We simply must discuss the rehearsal dinner, the Rosewood's executive chef. My phone vibrated, a text from Dr. Chen. Board meeting moved up. Tomorrow morning, they know. Actually, I set down my untouched mimosa. We need to discuss something else. The foundation documents sat in my bag like a loaded gun. I'd spent the night memorizing every fraudulent transfer, every forged signature. But before I could speak, the dining room door opened. Owen walked in. "Sorry to interrupt, ladies," he smiled apologetically, but his eyes were hard when they met mine. "Mother, could I have a word?" Chloe's bridesmaids tittered. I noticed how their phones all seemed to appear simultaneously, recording the moment. "Now isn't a good time," I said. "It's about Dad's estate." Owen's voice carried just enough for everyone to hear. "Some concerning irregularities we should address privately." My hand tightened on my bag. So that's how they wanted to play it. Paint me as the unstable widow, mismanaging funds, causing scenes at bridal showers. Irregularities? I stood slowly. Like the $2 million missing from the hospital foundation? The room went silent. Phones lowered. Chloe's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. "Mother," Owen's voice dropped dangerously. "You're upset, grieving. Let's not do this here." "Why not? Isn't this what you wanted? An audience?" I pulled out the documents, though perhaps not these particular witnesses. Chloe stood abruptly. "Ladies, maybe we should sit down." My voice could have frozen hell. "Everyone stays." My phone buzzed again. "Logan, police just left my office. Owen's been emptying accounts all morning." The pieces clicked together. The rushed bridal shower, the audience of smartphones, Owen's surprise appearance. They were building their narrative before the foundation board could build theirs. "Your father spent 30 years building his reputation at that hospital," I said, each word precise and cutting. 30 years saving lives while you forged his signature from his deathbed." "That's a lie," Owen snarled, but his face had gone pale. "Is it? Should we call the foundation board? They're meeting tomorrow, earlier than you expected, I imagine." Chloe's mask finally cracked. "Owen, we need to go, now." "Running again, Chloe? Like you did from your last 3 fiancés? Logan found those restraining orders, by the way. Fascinating reading. The bridesmaids' phones were recording again, but for very different reasons now. Owen grabbed my arm. "You're making a mistake." I looked at his hand, then into his eyes, David's eyes, but colder, harder. "No, the mistake was thinking you were still the son I raised. Let go of me." "Mrs. Harrison," Chloe's voice had turned syrupy again. "Please, we're family. Whatever you think you know." My phone rang. The hospital's chief of surgery's name flashed on the screen. Owen saw it too. "It's over," I said quietly. "The board knows everything. The police know everything. Your little performance here won't save you." Owen's grip tightened painfully. "You have no idea what you've done." "Security," Chloe called out, her voice shrill. "This woman is disturbed. She's threatening us." But the restaurant's security guard took one look at Owen's grip on my arm and made his own assessment. "Sir, you need to step back." I watched my son's face transform as he realized how badly their plan had backfired. All these witnesses, all those phones recording, and none of it going the way they'd intended. "You'll regret this," he hissed, releasing my arm. I thought of David, of all his years of honest work destroyed by his own son's greed, of the unsigned note that had started everything, of the choice I faced now, protect my son from consequences or protect what was right. "No," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I won't." Owen and Chloe fled the restaurant, leaving chaos in their wake. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Logan, Dr. Chen, the police, the hospital board. But for a moment, I just stood there, surrounded by strangers with phones, feeling something shift inside me. The time for grief was over. Now it was time for justice. The hospital boardroom felt like a tomb. 14 pairs of eyes watched me place David's research files on the polished table. Dr. Chen sat to my right, his presence both comfort and catalyst. "Mrs. Harrison," the board chairman began, "these allegations against your son." are documented here. I slid the files forward. Along with evidence of 3 other companies Owen created specifically to funnel foundation money, the door opened. Marcus Weber, David's oldest friend and the foundation's legal counsel, entered with a stack of papers that made my stomach clench. "It's worse than we thought," he said quietly. "The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit just contacted us. Owen's not just targeting the foundation. There are at least 7 other victims." My hands started to shake. I tucked them under the table, remembering Owen as a child, his father's pride when he graduated business school. Now federal agents were using words like victims. My phone vibrated, a text from Logan. "Chloe's at the house, says she needs to talk, alone." "Mrs. Harrison?" The chairman's voice pulled me back. "Given your position as both David's widow and Owen's mother, we need to know where you stand." Where I stood, as if 25 years of marriage and 32 years of motherhood could be reduced to taking sides. "I stand with the truth," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Whatever that costs." Marcus passed me a document. "The FBI wants to interview you tomorrow. They found a pattern linking Chloe to similar schemes in 3 other states." The room tilted slightly. 3 other states, 3 other fiancés. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. "Excuse me," I stood abruptly. "There's something I need to handle." I drove home with my heart hammering. Chloe's red Mercedes sat in my driveway, but Owen's Tesla was nowhere in sight. Logan waited on the porch, his expression dark. "She's in the living room," he said. "I don't trust her mom." "Good." I touched his arm. "Stay close, but let me handle this." Chloe sat on David's favorite chair, wearing widow's black like she was auditioning for a role. Her eyes were red-rimmed, but I'd learned not to trust her tears. "Mrs. Harrison," she began, "I had no idea what Owen was doing. You have to believe." "Stop." I remained standing, using height to my advantage. "The FBI knows about Pittsburgh and Seattle and Houston." She flinched just slightly. "A tell." "Those situations were different," she whispered. "I was young, desperate, and now?" "Owen's unstable, dangerous." Her voice cracked perfectly. "He's threatening to expose things about me unless I help him move more money." I thought, maybe we could help each other. The proposal hung in the air like poison. An alliance with Chloe against Owen, mother and fiancé, united in betrayal. My phone buzzed again. "Dr. Chen?" "Owen just showed up at the hospital, making scenes, threatening staff. Police en route." "What exactly are you offering, Chloe?" She leaned forward, hope flickering in her eyes. "Information, accounts, evidence that Owen acted alone. I could help you protect David's legacy." For a moment, I saw it, the easier path. Let Chloe turn on Owen. Let her take the fall with him. Protect what was left of my family's reputation. Then I remembered the unsigned note that started everything. The way Owen gripped my arm at La Maison. David's forged signatures on his deathbed. "You really are perfect for each other," I said quietly. "What?" "You and Owen, both so convinced you're the smartest person in the room." I pulled out my phone, stopped the recording. "The FBI will be interested in that confession about helping move money." Her face transformed. The vulnerable mask vanished, replaced by something cold and hard. "You stupid bitch. You have no idea what Owen will do when he finds out." Logan appeared in the doorway. "He'll what? What will my brother do?" Chloe stood, gathering her designer bag. "You're making a mistake, both of you." "No," I said, thinking of David, of justice, of the choice between easy lies and hard truths. "For the first time, I'm not." She fled, leaving behind the scent of expensive perfume and desperate schemes. My phone buzzed one final time, the FBI agent's number. The time for half measures was over. Tomorrow I would tell them everything. Logan touched my shoulder. "Mom, you okay?" I wasn't. I wouldn't be for a long time, but I was finally ready to finish what that unsigned note had started. "Call Marcus," I said. "Tell him we're ready to move forward. All of it." The war was about to begin. The Rosewood Manor glittered like a false promise. I watched the city's elite file in: hospital board members, business associates, Owen's investors, all drawn by the promise of a reconciliation dinner, my son's last chance to explain himself before tomorrow's FBI interview. Logan adjusted my pearl necklace, David's last Christmas gift. "You don't have to do this, Mom." "Yes, I do." I touched the USB drive in my clutch, containing every damning document, every forged signature, every stolen dollar. They need to see who Owen really is. The grand ballroom hummed with nervous energy. Owen and Chloe held court near the champagne fountain, her laugh carrying across the room like breaking glass. My son wore his father's confident smile, but his eyes darted around like a cornered animal. "Mrs. Harrison." Marcus Weber appeared at my elbow. "The FBI agent called. They've frozen Owen's accounts, but there's a problem. $2 million disappeared this morning." My chest tightened. "How?" "Offshore transfer. They think Chloe—" A champagne glass clinked. Owen stood at the center of the room, Chloe radiant beside him. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "Especially you, Mother. Your support means everything during this difficult time." The crowd murmured sympathetically. I felt their eyes on me, the grieving widow, the concerned mother, trying to save her troubled son. If only they knew. "In fact," Owen continued, "I have an announcement. Thanks to my mother's generous investment in my latest venture." "What investment?" The words escaped before I could stop them. Owen's smile didn't waver. "The transfer you approved this morning. From Dad's research foundation?" The room went silent. I felt the trap closing. "I never approved any transfer." "But we have the paperwork." Chloe's voice dripped concern. "Your signature, witnessed and notarized. Owen was so touched by your faith in him." My hands began to shake. "That's impossible." "Actually," Owen pulled out his phone, "I have it right here, along with some interesting emails suggesting you've been embezzling from the foundation for years. Dad suspected, but he wanted to protect you." The blood drained from my face. They'd planned this perfectly. The public venue, the witnesses, the false documentation. While I'd been gathering evidence against them, they'd been building their own case against me. "Show them," I challenged, my voice steadier than I felt. "Show them everything." "Mrs. Harrison," Dr. Chen stepped forward, "perhaps we should discuss this privately." "No." Owen's voice hardened. "Mother's right. Everything in the open." He pressed a button on his phone. The ballroom screens lit up with financial documents. My signature, perfectly forged, on dozens of transfers, emails I'd never written detailing elaborate schemes. "I protected you," Owen continued, his voice carrying. "Covered for you when Dad got suspicious. But after his death, your behavior became erratic. The spending, the accusations, the threats." Chloe touched his arm, the perfect supportive fiancé. "We're worried about you. The grief, the stress. You really think anyone will believe this?" I reached for my clutch, for the USB drive containing the truth. It wasn't there. "Looking for this?" Chloe held up my drive. "You left your bag unattended during cocktails. Careless." The room spun slightly. Every plan, every piece of evidence, gone. And in its place, a carefully constructed narrative of my own guilt. "Logan," I turned to my youngest son, "tell them," but Logan stood frozen, staring at the screens, at the evidence of his mother's apparent crimes. The doubt in his eyes cut deeper than any knife. "We've arranged for a private facility," Owen announced to the crowd. "The best psychiatric care. Mother needs help, not punishment." 2 men in dark suits appeared beside me. Security, but not the hotels. "Mrs. Harrison," one said quietly, "please come with us." "No." I backed away. I didn't. But I saw it in their faces. The party guests, the board members, even Logan. They believed Owen's performance, the unstable widow, stealing from her husband's legacy, now having a public breakdown. "It's okay, Mother." Owen stepped forward, every inch the concerned son. "We're going to take care of everything." I looked into his eyes, David's eyes, and saw nothing of the boy I'd raised. Just a stranger wearing my son's face, about to destroy everything I had left. The security guards moved closer. In the crowd, Chloe smiled her perfect smile. They had won. For now. The private facility's security was lighter than expected. 3 days of playing the sedated patient had convinced them I was no threat. When the night nurse left my door unlocked, I knew it wasn't a mistake. Logan was waiting in the parking lot, engine running. "Did anyone see you?" he asked as I slid into the passenger seat. "No." I checked my watch, 9:47 p.m. "The foundation board meeting starts in 13 minutes. Owen and Chloe are already there." Logan pulled onto the highway. "They're presenting their evidence against you." I touched the flash drive hanging from my neck, the real one, not the decoy Chloe had stolen. "Let them." The hospital's administrative building loomed ahead, its top floor conference room glowing like a beacon. Logan parked in the shadows. "Mom," he grabbed my arm. "Are you sure about this?" I thought of David, of all his years of honest work, of Owen's betrayal, of Chloe's smirk as security led me away. "They took everything," I said. "Now I'm taking it back." The service elevator required David's old key card. It still worked. Some things they'd forgotten to cancel in their rush to discredit me. We emerged into a darkened hallway just as Owen's voice carried through the boardroom's closed doors. "Clearly shows a pattern of embezzlement dating back years. My father suspected." I pushed open the doors. 20 heads turned. "Did he?" My voice cut through the silence. "Tell us more about what your father suspected, Owen." Owen froze mid-gesture. Chloe's perfect smile slipped. "Security," she called out, but no one moved. "The security team is rather busy," Logan said from behind me. Something about FBI agents in the lobby. I walked to the conference table, my heels clicking on marble. "Dr. Chen, would you mind pulling up the boardroom's main screen?" Owen lunged for his laptop, but Marcus Weber was faster, sliding it away. "You're supposed to be under observation," Owen snarled. "This is proof of your instability. These are proof of yours." I plugged in the drive. The screen flickered to life. The room gasped collectively. There was Owen, caught on David's home office camera, forcing his father's hand to sign documents. David's voice, weak from morphine. "Son, please, don't." "Where did you get that?" Chloe's voice shook. David may have been dying, but he wasn't stupid. I advanced to the next file. He installed cameras after the first suspicious transfer, recorded everything. Security footage played, Owen and Chloe in the hospital corridor, planning, scheming. Bank statements showing the real transfers. Photos of Chloe with her previous victims. "You took advantage of a dying man?" I continued, my voice steady. "Your own father. And when that wasn't enough, you tried to destroy me." "You don't understand." Owen's composure cracked. Chloe needed— "Shut up." Chloe's mask finally shattered. "You weak, pathetic—" "Mrs. Harrison," Dr. Chen stood. "The FBI agents you mentioned are here for them." I nodded toward the doors where federal agents now stood, although they're particularly interested in Chloe's activities across state lines. Chloe bolted, shoving past Logan. She made it 3 steps before an agent caught her arm. "Mom!" Owen's voice changed, became the little boy who once needed me. "Please, I can explain." "You can explain to them." I met his eyes, David's eyes, one last time. "Your father recorded one last message before he died. Would you like to hear what he really suspected?" The color drained from his face. As the agents led them away, the board members sat in stunned silence. Logan touched my shoulder, offering silent support. "Mrs. Harrison," Marcus finally spoke, "the Foundation's reputation. How do you want to handle this?" I looked at the screen, still showing David's final days, my husband's legacy, nearly destroyed by our own son's greed. "We tell the truth," I said, "all of it. Then we rebuild." "And Owen?" I thought of the unsigned note that started everything, of justice and revenge and the thin line between them. He made his choice. I unplugged the drive, David's last gift to protect what he'd built. Now he faces the consequences. Logan and I left them there, descended to the lobby where reporters were already gathering. Through the glass doors, I saw Owen and Chloe being led to separate cars, their perfect facade finally shattered. "Mom?" Logan's voice was quiet. "Are you okay?" I wasn't. I wouldn't be for a long time. But as I watched the federal agents drive away with my oldest son, I felt something shift inside me. The end of one chapter, the beginning of another. "Let's go home," I said, thinking of David, of justice served, of peace finally within reach. "It's over." The unsigned note sat on my desk, edges worn from constant handling. I'd found it while clearing David's study, tucked inside an old medical journal, written in my own handwriting, a message I'd left myself and forgotten, born from late nights watching Owen pressure his dying father for signatures. "You already knew," I whispered to David's empty chair. "You were trying to tell me." A knock at the door. Logan entered with a stack of newspapers. The headlines screamed of Owen's sentencing, of Chloe's plea deal, of the Foundation's restored reputation. "Dr. Chen called," he said. "The board approved your proposal for the new pediatric wing. Dad's name will be on it." I traced David's name on the medical journal. "And the other thing? Found it this morning." Logan placed a small recorder on my desk. "Dad's last message, the one you mentioned at the confrontation. It doesn't exist, does it?" "No," I met his eyes. But Owen didn't know that. A ghost of a smile crossed Logan's face, so much like his father's. "You played him, like he played us. I learned from the best." I gestured to the papers. "Chloe taught me how to wear a mask. Owen showed me how to exploit weakness. And your father," I touched the note, "he taught me to trust my instincts." The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Marcus Weber's car in the driveway. "The Foundation's lawyers," Logan said. "Ready?" I stood, smoothing my jacket. The old Riley would have hesitated, sought approval, tried to protect everyone's feelings. But she died with David, reborn in the ashes of betrayal. Marcus waited in the living room with settlement papers, Owen's restitution agreement, Chloe's confession, the Foundation's official statement clearing my name. "There's one more thing," Marcus said, pulling out a letter. "From Owen. He's requesting visitation." The room went still. Logan's hand found my shoulder. "He claims he's changed," Marcus continued. "That prison has given him perspective." I thought of Owen's face that night at the Foundation, of David's eyes looking back at me, pleading for mercy, of the son I'd lost long before I realized he was gone. "No," the word came easily now. "Some bridges stay burned." Marcus nodded, understanding. As he gathered his papers, I noticed a small card had fallen from Owen's letter. A wedding announcement, Chloe's engagement to her prison psychiatrist. I laughed, surprising myself. Some people never change. "But some do," Logan said quietly. After Marcus left, I returned to David's study. The afternoon sun caught his medical degrees, his family photos, the legacy he'd built. In the corner, a small box waited. Donations for the pediatric wing's groundbreaking ceremony. "I found something else," Logan said from the doorway. He held up a familiar envelope. "The original copy of that note. It wasn't you who wrote it." My hands trembled as I took it. The handwriting, precise, medical, achingly familiar. "Dad knew," Logan continued. "He wrote it before he died, but couldn't bring himself to tell you directly about Owen. So he left breadcrumbs, hoping you'd find your way to the truth. The note blurred as tears threatened. David's final gift, not just evidence of Owen's betrayal, but permission to fight back, to choose justice over mercy. "What now?" Logan asked. I placed both notes, David's original and my unconscious copy, in his old medical journal. Two versions of the same warning, a father's love echoing through time. "Now we rebuild," I said, thinking of the pediatric wing, of Logan's quiet strength, of the peace I'd finally found. But differently this time. No more masks, no more perfect facades. And Owen? I looked at David's photo, at the son who'd destroyed everything and the son who'd helped rebuild it, at the woman I'd become, not just a grieving widow or an avenging mother, but something harder, stronger, more complex. "He made his choice," I said. "I've made mine." Logan nodded, understanding the weight of endings and beginnings. Outside, the sun set on the remnants of our old life, casting long shadows that looked almost like justice. Some would call it revenge, others karma. But as I closed David's journal for the last time, I knew it was simply truth, raw, painful, and finally free.
The inheritance letter sat unopened on my desk for 3 days. Not because I was too busy. I just couldn't bear to read my dead father's last words on my birthday. But Ryan made that decision for me, barging into my home office with his usual air of authority. "Adeline, we need to discuss your father's estate." He didn't bother knocking, just stood there in his pressed suit, reeking of expensive cologne. I gripped my coffee mug tighter. "I'm working, Ryan. This is more important than whatever marketing campaign you're designing." He picked up the envelope, turning it over in his hands. "Your mother's worried about you avoiding this." Of course he'd use Mom to get his way. That's how Ryan operated, always finding the pressure points, the weak spots. I snatched the envelope back, my fingers trembling slightly as I broke the seal. "I'll read it myself, thanks." "We're family, Adeline. This affects all of us." Family. Right. Because marrying my mother 3 years after Dad died made him my father figure. I unfolded the letter, my eyes scanning past the legal jargon until I found the numbers. The coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering against the hardwood floor. "How much?" Ryan leaned forward, not even pretending to hide his interest. "That's private." I tried to fold the letter, but he was faster, plucking it from my fingers. His eyes widened as he read. "Jesus Christ, 5 million, tax-free?" "Give it back," my voice cracked. "Ethan's startup needs capital." Ryan's tone shifted, becoming smoother, reasonable. "Your brother. Step-brother. He's family. And this kind of money, it's not just about you anymore. We need to think about what's best for everyone." I stood up, coffee spreading around my feet like a dark stain. "Get out. Don't be childish. You're 24 now. It's time to think about—" I said, "Get out." The words exploded from me, shocking us both. Ryan's face hardened. "Your mother will hear about this attitude. We'll discuss this tonight at dinner, as a family." He placed the letter on my desk with deliberate care, then straightened his tie. "Happy birthday, by the way." After he left, I collapsed into my chair, hands shaking. Dad's words blurred on the page through my tears. The letter wasn't just about money. It was filled with his hopes for my future, his pride in my independence, his trust in my judgment. And here was Ryan, trying to manipulate it all away before the ink had dried. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Coming over with cake. Ryan says you're upset about the letter. We'll sort everything out at dinner. Love you." I stared at the message, my throat tight. She had no idea what her husband was planning. Or maybe she did, and chose not to see it, like she chose not to see so many things about Ryan. Another text came through, this time from Ethan. "Hey sis, heard about the inheritance. Can we talk? Alone?" I didn't reply to either message. Instead, I opened my laptop and started researching trust lawyers. If Ryan wanted to play games with my father's legacy, he was about to learn I wasn't the naive little girl he thought I was. Dad had taught me better than that. The broken mug lay forgotten at my feet, coffee seeping into the floorboards. Like Ryan's poison, spreading through our family. But unlike my mother, I could see it clearly now. And I would stop it, whatever it took. I picked up the letter again, running my fingers over Dad's signature. I trust you to make the right choices, he'd written. You've always been stronger than you know. Time to prove him right. The birthday dinner felt like a carefully orchestrated trap. Mom had outdone herself, filling the dining room with candles and flowers. But the warmth couldn't mask the tension crackling beneath the surface. Sweetheart, Ryan tells me you're having trouble processing the inheritance. Mom passed the wine bottle, her smile tight around the edges. We're just trying to help. I poured myself a generous glass. There's nothing to process. Dad's wishes were clear. About that. Ryan cleared his throat, shooting a meaningful look at Ethan. Son, why don't you tell your sister about the startup? Ethan shifted in his chair, pushing food around his plate. It's a tech thing, app development. Show her the projections, Ryan pressed. Ethan pulled out his phone, but his hands were trembling slightly. Something wasn't right. I'd seen my stepbrother pitch ideas before. He was usually confident, passionate. Tonight, he looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. We're looking at a potential valuation of, Ethan started. $8 million within 18 months, Ryan cut in. Conservative estimate. Your investment would triple, Adeline. I took another sip of wine. And if it doesn't? Don't be negative, Mom chided. Family supports family. Exactly. Ryan leaned forward. Which is why I've already spoken to my lawyer about drawing up the paperwork. Just a simple transfer of $2 million. The wine glass froze halfway to my lips. $2 million? It's a reasonable ask, Ryan said smoothly, considering the potential returns. I turned to Ethan. Is this what you want? Before he could answer, Ryan's phone buzzed. He checked it, his face darkening for a split second before he excused himself from the table. Important client, he muttered, but I caught the name on the screen. Sophie. Adeline. Mom reached for my hand. Your father would want you to share this blessing. Dad wanted me to be independent. I pulled away, watching Ryan pace in the hallway, speaking in hushed tones. He wouldn't want his money funding some vague startup without proper documentation. There's nothing vague about it, Ethan protested, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. I stood up. Excuse me. Bathroom. Instead of turning left toward the bathroom, I slipped right, following Ryan's voice. He was in his study, door slightly ajar. Not now, Sophie. Yes, I know the deadline. 2 days, maximum. She's being difficult, but I'll handle it. Just stick to the plan. My heart hammered against my ribs. Plan? Deadline? Everything okay? I spun around to find Ethan standing there, his expression unreadable. You tell me. I studied his face. What's really going on with this startup? He glanced toward the study, then grabbed my arm, pulling me into the kitchen. Listen, I can't. Dad has everything mapped out. He says. Your father says a lot of things. I yanked my arm free. But I need to hear it from you. Is this startup even real? Ethan's silence was answer enough. Adeline? Mom's voice carried from the dining room. The cake's ready. I walked back in, my mind racing. Ryan returned moments later, all smiles again, but I saw something new in his eyes. Desperation. I've been thinking, I announced as Mom lit the candles, about the startup investment. Ryan's smile widened. I knew you'd come around. I want to see the business plan, all of it, and I want my own lawyer to review everything. The smile faltered. That won't be necessary. My team has. It's non-negotiable. I met his gaze steadily. After all, family supports family, right? So you'll understand why I need to do my due diligence. Mom clapped her hands. See? We can work this out. Make a wish, sweetheart. I looked at the flickering candles, at Ryan's carefully controlled expression, at Ethan's guilty face, at Mom's hopeful smile. Then I closed my eyes and made my wish. I wished for the truth. And I had a feeling I wouldn't like what I found. Happy birthday to you, they sang, their voices discordant and strained. As I blew out the candles, I caught Ryan checking his phone again. Another message from Sophie. The cake tasted like ashes in my mouth, but I smiled and played my part. Let them think I was considering their offer. Let them think I was the naive daughter they could manipulate. They had no idea what was coming. The laptop screen cast a cold glow across Ryan's financial documents. 3 hours of digging through his startup proposal had revealed nothing but smoke and mirrors, empty projections, circular references, and a maze of shell companies that led nowhere. My phone buzzed. Ethan again. We need to talk, not at home. I texted back the address of a coffee shop across town. Time to see how deep this deception went. The cafe was nearly empty when Ethan slid into the booth, dark circles under his eyes. He pulled out a USB drive with trembling hands. Dad doesn't know I have this, he whispered. It's everything. The real numbers, the emails, his meetings with Sophie. Sophie? The name from Ryan's phone. Who is she? Ethan's laugh was hollow. His investment partner, supposedly, but I've seen them together. It's more than business. My stomach churned. Does Mom know? Nobody knows anything. He pushed the drive across the table. Except that Dad needs $2 million by Friday, or something bad happens. Really bad. Before I could press further, my phone lit up with Mom's face. Honey, where are you? Ryan's lawyer is here with the transfer papers. What? We haven't even reviewed. Just come home, please. Her voice cracked. Ryan says it has to be today. I ended the call, my hand shaking. What happens Friday? I can't. Ethan stood abruptly. Just look at the files, but be careful. Dad? He's not himself lately. He's desperate. I waited until he left before plugging in the drive. Document after document filled my screen. Bank statements, private emails, photos. Then I saw it. A contract with Sophie's investment firm, dated 3 months ago. Ryan had already promised them the money. My money. The cafe door chimed. I looked up to see a woman in her early 30s, expensive suit, perfectly styled hair. She walked straight to my table. Adeline. She smiled, all white teeth and sharp edges. I'm Sophie. We should talk. My throat went dry. How did you find you? She sat down uninvited. Ethan's phone has a tracking app. Ryan installed it months ago. Sweet kid, but terrible at keeping secrets. I moved to close my laptop, but she placed her hand on it. Before you go, you should know something. Your stepfather owes me $3 million. The 2 from you, plus interest. If I don't get it by Friday, certain documents about his creative accounting will find their way to the SEC. That's not my problem. It becomes your problem when your mother loses everything. Sophie's smile never wavered. The house, the savings, her reputation, all gone. Ryan made sure everything's in both their names. When he goes down, she goes down. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Where are you? Ryan's getting angry. Sophie stood. You have until Friday. For your mother's sake, make the right choice. I sat there long after she left, staring at the documents that proved Ryan's betrayal. The fake startup, the affair, the financial fraud, all of it designed to trap me into saving him. Another text from Mom. Please come home. He says we're running out of time. I closed the laptop, my decision crystallizing like ice in my veins. Ryan thought he could force my hand by threatening Mom's security, but he'd forgotten something crucial. I was my father's daughter, and Dad had taught me that sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy, it's letting them destroy themselves. I drove home, the USB drive heavy in my pocket. In the driveway, I could see Ryan pacing in the living room, gesturing angrily, while his lawyer sat with papers spread across the coffee table. Mom stood by the window, wringing her hands. Before going in, I made 2 calls. First, to my own lawyer, the one Dad had recommended years ago. Then to a private investigator who owed Dad a favor. Ryan wanted to play games with my inheritance? Fine. But he was about to learn that some games have rules he couldn't manipulate, and I had proof of every single one he'd broken. I touched the drive in my pocket, thinking of Sophie's threat, of Mom's fear, of Ethan's guilt. Then I walked inside, ready to start a fire that would burn everything down, including Ryan's carefully constructed web of lies. Let him think he had me cornered. The best traps are the ones you walk into willingly, with your eyes wide open and a match in your hand. The private investigator's report landed in my inbox at 3 a.m. Sleep had become a distant memory anyway, replaced by endless cups of coffee and the constant hum of anxiety. I clicked the attachment, and my world shifted again. Sophie wasn't just Ryan's mistress or business partner. She was a ghost, appearing in different cities under different names, always connected to financial schemes that left ruins in their wake. And now she had her claws in my family. My phone lit up. Ethan, Dad's office, now, emergency. The drive to Ryan's downtown office felt surreal in the pre-dawn darkness. Security waved me through. They knew me as the dutiful stepdaughter who occasionally brought Ryan lunch. If they only knew. I found Ethan in Ryan's office, frantically searching through files. Look at this! He shoved a document at me. Dad's been forging Mom's signature on everything. The paper trembled in my hands. Loan applications, property transfers, investment authorizations, all with Mom's perfectly forged signature. There's more. Ethan's voice cracked. Sophie's firm, it's not real. None of it's real. And Dad's borrowed money from people you don't want to owe money to. Heavy footsteps in the hallway. We froze. Hide, I whispered, shoving the documents into my bag. Ethan disappeared behind a filing cabinet just as Ryan burst in, Sophie close behind him. Neither noticed me sitting in the dark corner. It has to be today, Sophie hissed. They're not waiting anymore. I know, Ryan paced, running hands through disheveled hair. But she's being difficult. The lawyer says, forget the lawyer. Get the money or everything burns, including your wife's comfortable little life. I shifted slightly, and a paper rustled. They both turned. Adeline? Ryan's face went through a series of expressions. Shock, fear, calculation. What are you doing here? I stood slowly, my heart hammering. Funny, I was about to ask you the same thing. This isn't what it looks like, Sophie started, but I cut her off. Really? Because it looks like you're threatening my family over money you'll never see. Ryan stepped forward. Sweetheart, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I pulled out my phone, showing them the investigator's report. Sarah Williams in Seattle. Maria Torres in Miami. How many names do you go by, Sophie? The color drained from her face. Ryan looked between us, confusion replacing his usual confidence. You should have researched Dad better, I continued. He had friends everywhere, including in the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Sophie's composure cracked. You're bluffing. Try me. I moved toward the door. You have 24 hours to disappear. After that, everything I have goes to the feds. You can't. Ryan grabbed my arm. Your mother will survive. I yanked free. Unlike you, I actually care about protecting her. A noise from the filing cabinet made Ryan turn. What was that? Probably rats, I said. This place seems full of them. I walked out, my legs shaking, but my spine steel straight. In my bag, the evidence felt like a bomb waiting to detonate. But I wasn't done. Not yet. My phone buzzed, Mom calling. I let it go to voicemail. First, I needed to make copies of everything. Digital and physical backups, stored in multiple locations. Ryan had taught me that much at least. Always have leverage. The sun was rising as I drove home, casting long shadows across the city. In my rearview mirror, I saw Ethan slip out of the building. He'd heard everything. Now he had to choose. Stand with his father or stand with the truth. Another call from Mom. Honey, Ryan's acting strange. He says something happened at the office. What's going on? I pulled over, watching early morning joggers pass by, their normal lives untouched by the chaos in mine. The truth would hurt Mom, shatter her world. But lies had already done that. She just didn't know it yet. I'm coming over, I told her. We need to talk. It was time to stop protecting her from the truth and start protecting her from Ryan. Sometimes love means letting the flames burn away the rot, even if it scorches everything else in the process. I touched Dad's letter in my pocket, his words about strength and independence taking on new meaning. The game had changed. Now I wasn't just fighting for my inheritance, I was fighting for my mother's future. And this time, I had nothing left to lose. The recording device felt heavy in my pocket as I watched Ryan and Sophie through the restaurant's window. They sat close, heads together, unaware of my presence across the street. My hands shook as I checked the receiver's signal strength one last time. "You shouldn't be here." Ethan's voice made me jump. He stood in the shadow of a doorway, looking as haunted as I felt. "Neither should you. Dad knows something's wrong." He moved closer, keeping his voice low. "He's been shredding documents all morning, and Mom, what about her? She found something in his study. I don't know what, but they had a huge fight. She's not answering her phone." My stomach lurched. The receiver crackled to life, Sophie's voice cutting through the static. "The transfer has to happen tomorrow. No exceptions." "I need more time." Ryan's voice, desperate. "Laura's asking questions. If she finds out about the other accounts." "That's your problem. My clients aren't as patient as I am." I adjusted the volume, but Ethan grabbed my wrist. "Stop! Please! You don't know what he's capable of." "Do you?" I pulled away. "Because I found the restraining orders. 3 different women, 3 different states. Your father's not just a con man, Ethan. He's dangerous." The color drained from his face. "What restraining orders?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Mom's text made my blood freeze. "Found papers in Ryan's office. Meeting him for dinner to discuss. Don't worry, everything will be fine." "She can't meet him alone." I shoved the receiver at Ethan. "Keep recording. I have to stop her." "Adeline, wait." But I was already running to my car. The drive to Mom's favorite restaurant was a blur of red lights and horn blasts. I found her sitting alone at an outside table, staring at a manila envelope. "Mom, did you know?" She looked up, her eyes red. "About the forgeries?" I sank into the chair beside her. "How much did you find?" "Enough!" Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope. "Bank transfers, loan applications, property liens, all with my signature, except I never signed any of them." "We need to leave, now." I trusted him. Her voice cracked. "After your father died, I thought Ryan was our second chance." Movement caught my eye. Ryan was crossing the street from the other restaurant, Sophie watching from the window. He hadn't seen us yet. "Mom, please!" I have to hear his explanation. She stood up, waving to Ryan. "Maybe there's a reason." "The reason is he's been playing us both." I grabbed her arm. "Him and Sophie, they're working together. They've done this before." "Sophie?" Mom's face went pale. "How do you know that name?" The receiver in my pocket crackled again, Sophie's voice carrying clearly. "If Laura becomes a problem, there are ways to handle it. My clients can be very persuasive." Mom heard it too. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Well, isn't this cozy?" Ryan's voice right behind us. "Family meeting without me?" I turned slowly. He stood there, smile fixed, eyes cold. Behind him, Sophie was crossing the street, phone in hand. "Ryan." Mom's voice was steady now. "Who is Sophie?" His smile didn't waver. "Sweetheart, whatever you think you found, I found everything." She slapped the envelope on the table. "Every forged signature, every stolen dollar. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out?" "Actually," Sophie stepped up beside him, "we were counting on it." My phone buzzed again. "Ethan, get out now. Dad's not alone. 2 men watching from a black SUV." I scanned the street, spotting the vehicle. The windows lowered slightly, revealing faces I never wanted to see in my nightmares. "Mom," I whispered, "we need to go." "Nobody's going anywhere." Ryan's hand slipped into his jacket. "Not until we discuss this like family." The word family twisted in my gut like a knife. I thought I'd been clever, gathering evidence, planning my revenge. But I'd underestimated Ryan's desperation and the depths he'd sink to protect his schemes. The SUV's engine rumbled to life. Sometimes revenge isn't worth the cost, but sometimes you don't have a choice. I reached for my phone, my finger hovering over the emergency contact I'd hoped never to use, Dad's old friend at the FBI. One call would set everything in motion, but there would be no going back. The question was, could I live with the consequences? I pressed the emergency call button just as the black SUV's doors opened. Two men in dark suits emerged, moving with practiced efficiency. Ryan's smile widened. "Last chance, Adeline. We can still handle this privately." Mom gripped my arm. "Whatever you're planning, don't—" The rest of her words vanished in the chaos that erupted. Ethan burst from around the corner, shoving past Sophie, a USB drive clutched in his hand. "I have everything!" he shouted. "The real accounts, the transfers, all of it!" Ryan's composure shattered. He lunged for Ethan, but Mom stepped between them. The manila envelope scattered, papers flying across the sidewalk like autumn leaves. "FBI, everyone freeze!" The agents appeared too late. One of the men from the SUV grabbed Mom, while the other reached for Ethan. Sophie was already running, her heels clicking against the pavement. "Drop it!" Ryan's voice cracked like a whip. I turned to see him pointing a gun at Ethan. "The drive. Now." My brother's hand shook as he held out the USB. Ryan snatched it, backing away. "Get them in the car." "No." I moved toward Mom, but the man holding her pressed something against her side. The message was clear. "Ryan!" Mom's voice trembled. "Please don't do this." "You did this," he snarled at me. "I gave you every chance to play along, to be family." The FBI agents had their weapons drawn, but they were too exposed. Too many civilians, too many variables. Ryan knew it too. "Lower your weapons," he called out, "or this gets messy." Time slowed. I saw Mom's terror, Ethan's guilt, the agent's frustration. All my careful plans, all my evidence, worthless now. Ryan had turned my revenge into his victory. "Wait." I stepped forward, hands raised. "The inheritance. You can have it all. Just let them go." Ryan laughed, harsh and hollow. "You still don't get it. This was never about your money. This was about power, control. Something your father never understood either." The words hit like physical blows. "What are you talking about? Why do you think he changed his will? Made you wait until 24? Ryan's eyes gleamed with malice. "He knew about me, about Sophie. He tried to warn the authorities, but we were always one step ahead. Just like now." Mom's sob cut through the air. "You killed him? Heart attacks are so common in stressed executives." Ryan shrugged. "Especially when their medication gets adjusted." The world tilted. Dad's death, my inheritance, Ryan's marriage to Mom. It was all connected, all planned. "The car, now!" Ryan gestured with the gun. "Family road trip." I looked at the FBI agents, silently pleading. But they were backing off, following protocol. No risks with hostages. "Adeline," Ethan whispered. "I'm sorry. The USB, it's blank." Of course it was. The real evidence was still in my apartment, hidden where I thought it would be safe, where it was completely useless. Ryan herded us toward the SUV, his gun now concealed, but still present. "Sophie has a private plane waiting. We'll sort everything out once we're airborne." Mom stumbled, and I caught her arm. Her skin was ice cold. "I trusted him," she whispered. "After everything with your father, I trusted him." The SUV's door opened like a mouth ready to swallow us whole. My phone buzzed one final time, probably the FBI's backup arriving too late. But it wasn't the FBI. It was an email notification, the sender's name making my heart stop. Dad's lawyer. "Time's up," Ryan said. "Get in." I looked at Mom, at Ethan, at the life Ryan was about to destroy. Dad had died trying to protect us from this man. Now I was about to fail at the same task. Unless. "You're right," I said quietly. "About Dad. About control." I reached for the car door. But you forgot something important. And what's that? I met his eyes, seeing for the first time not a monster, but a desperate man clinging to his illusions of power. Dad taught me to always have a backup plan. The email's subject line flashed in my mind. Contingency protocol activated. 24 hours elapsed. Sometimes revenge isn't about winning. Sometimes it's about being willing to lose everything to make sure your enemy loses more. I got into the SUV, my hand brushing against the emergency tracker hidden in my watch. Dad's final gift wasn't just money. It was a lesson about patience, about sacrifice, about justice. Ryan thought he had won. But the game wasn't over. It was just moving to a different playing field. The private airfield stretched out before us, empty except for a sleek jet waiting on the tarmac. Ryan kept the gun pressed against Mom's side as we walked, his other hand gripping my arm. Ethan trudged ahead, shoulders slumped in defeat. "Sophie's waiting inside," Ryan said. "Once we're airborne, we'll discuss your new inheritance arrangements." A phone buzzed. Ryan tensed, but it was his own device. He checked it one-handed, his face darkening. Impossible. I knew what he was seeing. Dad's contingency plan, activated by my missed check-in. Every document, every recording, every piece of evidence simultaneously released to the FBI, SEC, and major news outlets. "What did you do?" He spun me around, gun now pointed at my chest. "Ask Dad." I met his gaze. He knew you'd try something like this. The heart attack might have worked, but his fail-safes didn't die with him. The jet's door opened. Sophie emerged, tablet in hand. "Ryan, we have a problem. The accounts—" "They're frozen," I finished. "All of them. Even the offshore ones Dad tracked before you killed him." Mom gasped. Ethan turned, his eyes wide. The pieces were finally falling into place for them both. "You're lying." Ryan's finger tightened on the trigger. "Check your phone again." I forced myself to stay still. The evidence is everywhere now. Sophie's other victims are already talking to the authorities. Your entire network is burning. Sophie's heels clicked rapidly down the stairs. "We need to go, now." "Not without the money." Ryan grabbed Mom again. "Transfer it, all of it, or she dies." "It's too late." I took a step forward. The inheritance was never real. Dad moved everything into a trust months before you killed him. I couldn't access it even if I wanted to. The gun wavered. "You're bluffing. Like you bluffed about loving Mom? About wanting to be family?" Another step. "Dad saw through you, just like I did." "Shut up!" The gun swung between Mom and me. "You think you're so clever, just like him. But he died alone and afraid, and so will you." "No." Ethan's voice cut through the tension. "She won't." Everything happened at once. Ethan lunged for Ryan's gun arm. Mom broke free, stumbling toward me. Sophie turned to run, but found her path blocked by FBI agents emerging from behind the jet. The gun went off. Time slowed. I saw Ethan falling, red blooming across his shirt. Mom screaming, Sophie raising her hands. And Ryan standing there, the mask finally cracking, showing the terrified man beneath. "Drop it!" Agents converged from all directions. "On your knees!" Ryan looked at the gun in his hand, at his son bleeding on the tarmac. For a moment, I saw something human flash across his face. Then it hardened into cold fury. He raised the gun one last time, aiming at me. "You're just like your father." "Yes," I said quietly. "I am." The FBI sniper's shot was precise. Ryan crumpled, the gun clattering away. It was over. I ran to Ethan, pressing my hands against his wound. "Stay with me, please." "Did we get him?" His voice was weak but clear. "Did we finally stop him?" Mom knelt beside us, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, both of you. I should have seen—" "Later," I said, as paramedics rushed forward. "We'll talk about everything later." Across the tarmac, Sophie was being handcuffed, her composed facade shattered. She caught my eye and mouthed something that looked like, "Thank you." Maybe she'd been as trapped as we were, in her own way. The paramedics loaded Ethan into an ambulance. The bullet had missed anything vital. He would survive. Mom went with him, leaving me to watch as Ryan was carried away on a stretcher, unconscious but alive. Justice would come through the courts, not a bullet. Dad's lawyer appeared at my side, holding out an envelope. Your father wanted you to have this after everything was resolved. Inside was a single photo, Dad and me at my college graduation, both of us laughing. On the back, he'd written, "Victory isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about protecting what matters most." I looked at Mom in the ambulance, holding Ethan's hand. At the FBI agents collecting evidence that would unravel Ryan's entire network. At the morning sun rising over the airfield, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Dad was right. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice, about healing, about rebuilding what Ryan had tried to destroy. It was about family, the real kind. The hospital corridor felt endless as I walked toward Ethan's room, Dad's final letter burning a hole in my pocket. Through the window, I could see Mom sitting beside his bed, both of them laughing at something, a sight I hadn't witnessed in years. I paused at the door, catching the tail end of their conversation. "He never told me about the threats," Mom was saying. "Your father, I mean. He tried to protect me from everything, just like Adeline did. That's what family does, right?" Ethan adjusted his bandaged shoulder. "The real kind, anyway." The word family didn't hurt anymore. It had transformed into something new, something earned rather than imposed. I knocked softly and entered. "The FBI just called. Sophie's talking. She's named everyone involved in Ryan's schemes, going back years." Mom reached for my hand. "And Ryan? Awake, under guard." I squeezed her fingers. "He'll recover, but he's facing multiple life sentences. The evidence Dad gathered, it was more than just financial fraud." "Other families?" Ethan asked. I nodded. "Other victims, other accidents." The silence that followed felt heavy with understanding. Dad hadn't just been protecting us. He'd been trying to stop Ryan from destroying more lives. "There's something else." I pulled out the envelope Dad's lawyer had given me. Inside was a key and an address. Dad left a safety deposit box. I thought, maybe we should open it together. The bank was quiet when we arrived, Mom pushing Ethan's wheelchair. The box contained a single USB drive and another letter, this one addressed to all three of us. "Dear Laura, Adeline, and Ethan," Mom read aloud, her voice steady. "If you're reading this, the truth about Ryan has finally come to light. But that's not why I left this for you." She paused, touching the familiar handwriting. "The drive contains something more valuable than evidence. It contains hope. I've established a foundation in all your names, dedicated to helping families recover from financial fraud and domestic deception. The inheritance was never about money. It was about choosing what kind of person you want to be when faced with darkness." Ethan took the drive, turning it over in his hands. "He included me, even knowing about Ryan?" "Especially knowing about Ryan," I said. "He saw in you what I eventually saw, someone trying to break free from manipulation." "The Foundation's first case," Mom read on, "should be the family in Seattle that Sophie mentioned. They lost everything to Ryan's schemes. Show them they're not alone." My throat tightened. Even now, Dad was teaching me about the difference between revenge and justice. "There's more," Mom continued. "Adeline, your strength isn't in your ability to fight back, but in your capacity to protect others while staying true to yourself. Ethan, your courage in standing up to Ryan proves that we choose our own legacy. And Laura, you taught our daughter how to love fiercely and forgive wisely. Together, you're stronger than any deception." The letter ended with a simple statement. "Family isn't about blood or marriage. It's about who stays to help you rebuild after the storm passes." We sat in the bank's private room, letting the words sink in. Through the window, I could see the city skyline. The same view Dad must have had when he wrote this letter, planning not just for our protection, but for our healing. "So?" Ethan broke the silence. "When do we start?" "Start what?" "The foundation, helping others." He smiled slightly. "Isn't that what family does?" Mom wiped her eyes, straightening her shoulders. First, we heal. Then we help others do the same. I thought about Ryan in his hospital bed, surrounded by guards instead of family. About Sophie, finally breaking free from her own web of lies. About Dad, who'd turned his suspicions into a safeguard, not just for us, but for future victims. The drive felt warm in my hand, like a torch being passed. Revenge had brought us here, but it wouldn't define where we went next. Dad was right, I said. It's not about destroying our enemies. It's about rebuilding what they tried to break. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, casting long shadows across the city. But shadows don't seem so dark when you're no longer facing them alone. We had work to do, a different kind of legacy to build. Together.
Blood. So much blood. It pooled around Max's golden fur, turning his coat a sickening shade of crimson. I stood frozen in the doorway of our living room, my throat closing up as I tried to process the scene before me. Max, my father's beloved retriever, lay motionless on the expensive Persian rug Derek was so proud of. My name is Marley, and this was the moment my family decided I was a monster. What did you do? Lily's shriek pierced the silence. She appeared behind me, her perfectly manicured hands flying to her mouth in theatrical horror. Oh my God, what did you do to Max? I just got home, I managed to whisper, my hands trembling as I reached for the light switch. The harsh overhead lights made everything worse, illuminating the grotesque tableau in vivid detail. I found him like this. Mom, Derek! Lily's voice carried through the house like a fire alarm. Come quick, Marley killed Max. I didn't... The words died in my throat as footsteps thundered down the stairs. My mother and Derek burst into the room, their faces morphing from concern to horror to rage in rapid succession. Derek pushed past me, dropping to his knees beside Max. His shoulders shook as he gathered the lifeless dog in his arms, not caring about the blood staining his crisp white shirt. You vindictive little... I would never hurt Max, I protested, backing away. You know how much I loved him. He was Dad's. Don't you dare mention your father, my mother cut in, her voice ice cold. First you resent Derek and Lily, and now this? What is wrong with you? Lily sidled up to our mother, tears streaming down her face. I saw her earlier, Mom. She was so angry because Max chewed up one of her shoes. She said she'd make him pay. The lie hit me like a physical blow. That's not true. I wasn't even home until now. I was at work. You can call... I found this in her room. Lily produced a bloody pair of scissors from behind her back. My scissors. The ones I used for cutting hair samples during my cosmetology practice. She must have used these. The room spun. Those were in my drawer. How did you... Get out! Derek's voice was deadly quiet as he cradled Max's body. Get out of my house. Derek, please, I pleaded, looking to my mother for support. She turned away, wrapping an arm around Lily's shoulders. Mom? You heard him, she said, not meeting my eyes. Pack your things and leave. I can't even look at you right now. You're choosing to believe her? My voice cracked. After everything, she's lying. The evidence is right there, Lily sniffled, gesturing at the scissors. Just like always, you can't take responsibility for anything. I stood there, surrounded by my family, yet completely alone. The truth hit me then. They'd never believed in me, never trusted me. Lily had orchestrated this perfectly, knowing they would take her side without question, just like they always had. Fine, I whispered, straightening my spine. I'll go. But remember this moment. Remember how easily you condemned me without proof, without even letting me defend myself. Your actions are proof enough, Derek spat. You have an hour to pack. After that, I'm calling the police. I turned and walked upstairs to my room, my movements mechanical. As I threw clothes into a duffel bag, I heard Lily's theatrical sobs floating up from below, punctuated by my mother's soothing murmurs. The perfect daughter comforted while the problematic one was cast out. My phone buzzed, a text from Grandma Rose. Come to me, sweetheart. I've got your room ready. Of course she knew. She always knew when I needed her. I shouldered my bag and took one last look at my childhood room. The walls still held photos of happier times. Before Dad died, before Mom married Derek, before Lily became the golden child who could do no wrong. "This isn't over," I promised the empty room. "One day you'll all know the truth. And when that day comes, I'll make sure you feel every bit of pain you've caused me." I walked out of that house with nothing but a bag of clothes and a heart full of fury. They thought they were punishing me, but really they were setting me free. Free to plan, free to grow stronger, and free to plot my revenge. Grandma Rose's house smelled like cinnamon and safety. I sat at her kitchen table, watching steam rise from my coffee cup while she puttered around, humming softly. The morning light caught the silver in her hair, reminding me of better days when Dad was alive and everything made sense. "Your mother called again," Grandma Rose said, setting a plate of toast in front of me. "I told her you're where you need to be." My fingers tightened around the mug. "Did she even ask if I was okay?" "Oh, she asked plenty of questions. None of them were about your well-being." She settled into the chair across from me, her eyes sharp despite her gentle tone. "Lily's been posting about the incident online, making quite a spectacle of herself." Of course she was. I pulled out my phone, ignoring the dozens of missed calls from Mom, and found Lily's latest Instagram post. There she was, posed artfully beside Max's fresh grave, complete with a flower crown and carefully smudged mascara. The caption read, "Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who hurt us the most. Family trauma, she healing, shio justice." 2,000 likes, I muttered, tossing the phone aside. They're all falling for it. "People see what they want to see, sweetheart." Grandma Rose reached across the table, her weathered hand covering mine. But the truth has a way of surfacing, like cream rising to the top. A car door slammed outside, and my stomach clenched. Through the window, I spotted Uncle Mike's SUV in the driveway. "What's he doing here?" "Probably your mother's reconnaissance mission." Grandma Rose stood, straightening her cardigan. "Let me handle this." But Uncle Mike didn't wait for an invitation. He burst through the kitchen door, Emma trailing behind him with her phone already recording. "There's the animal abuser," Emma announced, pointing her camera at me. "Any comments about what you did to Max?" I knocked my chair over, standing up. "Get that out of my face." "Or what?" Emma sneered. "You'll hurt me too?" "That's enough." Grandma Rose's voice cracked like a whip. "Emma, put that phone away before I show you exactly where your father learned his manners." Uncle Mike stepped between us. "Rose, you're harboring someone who was convicted of what exactly?" Grandma Rose cut in. "Last I checked, we still believe in innocent until proven guilty in this family. Or has that changed along with everything else?" The evidence is circumstantial at best," I found my voice, anger burning away the hurt. "But none of you bothered to ask for my side. You just believed what the golden child told you, like always." Emma scoffed. "Oh, here we go with the jealousy again. It's not Lily's fault you can't measure up." "Measure up to what?" I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "To someone who's never worked a day in her life? Who gets everything handed to her on a silver platter?" "At least she's grateful for what she has," Uncle Mike shot back. "Unlike some people." "Grateful?" The word tasted like poison. I worked 2 jobs to help pay for her dance lessons. I gave up my college fund so she could go to private school. I stopped, seeing the gleam in Emma's eye as she recorded everything. "You know what? Keep the video. Post it wherever you want. I'm done trying to prove myself to any of you." "Linda was right," Uncle Mike shook his head. "You've become bitter and dangerous. Come on, Emma. We're leaving." As they stormed out, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the window. I barely recognized myself. This hollow-eyed, angry version of me who'd lost everything in one night. Grandma Rose's hand settled on my shoulder. "You know what your father used to say about storms?" I nodded, throat tight. "The strongest trees are the ones that bend with the wind instead of breaking." "Well, I think it's time you stopped bending, sweetheart." She turned me to face her, her eyes fierce. "Start growing roots instead. Deep ones. The kind that can't be torn up by any storm." My phone buzzed. A text from Sam. "Saw Emma's live stream. Coming over with pizza and a plan. You're not alone in this." Looking at Grandma Rose's determined face and Sam's message, something shifted inside me. They'd taken my home, my reputation, even my father's dog. But they couldn't take my future unless I let them. "You're right," I said, straightening my spine. "No more bending. It's time to grow into something they never expected me to become." Grandma Rose smiled, and for a moment, I saw the steel beneath her softness. "That's my girl. Now, let's see what Sam's planning, shall we?" Sam's laptop screen glowed in Grandma Rose's dimly lit study, illuminating our faces as we scrolled through Derek's company records. My hands trembled as I recognized the pattern in the numbers. "There's no way this is legal," Sam whispered, pointing to a series of transactions. "Look at these transfers to offshore accounts, all authorized by Derek, but the beneficiary is Lily." The name tasted like acid on my tongue. She's been siphoning money from the company since she turned 18. The door creaked, and I slammed the laptop shut. Grandma Rose entered with a manila envelope. "I think you'll want to see this, sweetheart. Your father's old secretary dropped it off." Inside were dozens of photos. Lily at expensive restaurants, shopping sprees, lavish parties, all dated when she was supposed to be volunteering at the homeless shelter or studying abroad. The same periods when large sums vanished from Derek's accounts. "The perfect daughter," I muttered, spreading the photos across the desk. "Everyone's little angel." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, a video attachment. I pressed play, and Lily's face filled the screen, makeup streaked with tears. "I know you're digging," her voice wavered. "Stop. You don't understand what you're doing. If this gets out, it won't just hurt Derek. Mom's involved too. Is that what you want?" Sam leaned in. "She's scared." "Good." I replayed the video, catching details I missed before. The designer wallpaper behind her, the fresh manicure as she wiped her tears, still living in luxury while I served coffee to pay rent. "There's more," Grandma Rose said quietly, pulling another document from the envelope. "Your father's life insurance policy, the one Linda claimed went to your college fund." My throat tightened as I read. The money had been diverted to a trust fund, in Lily's name. "They stole from you twice," Sam's voice hardened. "First your father's dog, now his legacy." The room spun. I gripped the desk edge, memories flooding back, working double shifts while Lily shopped, babysitting to pay for her dance lessons, giving up my dreams so she could chase hers. My phone buzzed again. Emma had posted new photos, Lily at a charity gala playing the grieving sister. The caption read, "Family is everything. So grateful for those who stand by us in dark times. Blessed justice." "She's using Max's death for social media clout," the words came out strangled. "While I'm barely surviving, she's turning my pain into her redemption story." Grandma Rose touched my shoulder. "What are you going to do?" Before I could answer, another text arrived. From Jess at the salon where I trained. "Your sister was just here, asked lots of questions about you, took pictures of the schedule. Something feels off." "She's planning something," Sam said, but I was already grabbing my coat. "No," I replied, a cold clarity settling over me. "She's given me exactly what I need. Those company records? They're my way back in." "Marley," Grandma Rose's voice carried a warning. "Revenge might feel right, but this isn't about revenge anymore." I turned to face them both. "This is about justice. For Max, for Dad, for everything they've taken. Lily wants to play the victim? Fine. Let's see how she handles being exposed as the predator she really is." Sam stood. "Whatever you're planning, I'm in." "Me too," Grandma Rose added, surprising us both. "Your father would want you to fight back. Not with their methods, but with the truth." I looked at the evidence spread before us. The photos, the financial records, Lily's tearful manipulation caught on video. She thought she was threatening me, but she'd actually handed me the weapons for her own destruction. "First," I said, picking up my phone, "we need to make copies, lots of copies. Then I'm going to show Derek and Mom exactly who they've been protecting all these years." "And if they don't believe you?" Sam asked. I thought of Max, of my father's stolen legacy, of years spent bending until I almost broke. "Then I'll make sure everyone else does. Lily wants social media attention? I'll give her more than she can handle. The laptop hummed back to life, screens of damning evidence glowing like beacons in the dark room. For the first time since finding Max, I felt something other than pain or rage. I felt powerful. Time to shatter some illusions, I whispered, and began to type. The email from Derek's company sat unopened in my inbox, its subject line mocking me. Position available, executive assistant. My finger hovered over the delete button when Jess walked into the break room at the salon where I trained. You're not actually considering it, are you? She leaned against the counter, watching me stare at my phone. It's double what I make here. The words tasted like surrender. And access to everything, company records, private files, Derek's schedule. And your soul. Don't forget that part. Jess pulled up a chair. Though I have to admit, the timing's interesting. Right after you start digging into their finances. My phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Heard about the job offer. Daddy's giving you a chance to prove yourself. Don't mess it up this time. The break room suddenly felt too small. I grabbed my apron, heading for the salon floor. I need to work. But my next client was Emma, perched in my chair like she owned it. Aunt Linda asked me to check on you, she said, examining her nails. Make sure you're not still harboring unfortunate feelings. I met her eyes in the mirror as I draped the cutting cape around her shoulders, perhaps a bit too tightly. How thoughtful. We're worried about you, cousin. All that anger, all those accusations. It's not healthy. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos. Look how well Lily's doing with her charity work. Maybe if you focused on giving back instead of taking revenge. The scissors felt heavy in my hand. What exactly do you want, Emma? Take the job. She locked her phone, her smile sharp. Show everyone you can be part of the family again, unless you have something to hide? The salon door chimed. Sam walked in, carrying coffee and wearing an expression that meant news. Bad news. 5 minutes, I told Emma, practically running to meet Sam. He pulled me into the empty storage room. They know you're investigating. Derek's lawyer just filed for a restraining order against you. What? Claims you're harassing Lily, threatening the family. They're trying to block you from accessing any company information. My hands shook as I pulled up the job offer email. That's why they want me inside. They're trying to control me. Or trap you. Sam's voice dropped. Think about it. If you take the job and keep digging, they'll have legal grounds to destroy you. The storage room door opened. Grandma Rose stood there, holding a manila envelope. Then perhaps it's time to show them what we found. She spread photos across the counter. Lily at high-stakes poker games, handing envelopes to shady-looking men, entering buildings that definitely weren't charity headquarters. Your father's old private investigator owed me a favor, Grandma Rose said quietly. He's been following Lily for months. My throat tightened. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because you needed to choose your path yourself. She gathered the photos. Now you have to decide. Take their offer and play their game, or build something of your own. I walked back to Emma, still waiting in my chair. Her smirk told me she thought she'd won. Sorry for the wait. I picked up my scissors. About that job offer. Yes? Tell Derek I'm flattered. The scissors snipped air near her ear, making her flinch. But I've decided to invest in myself instead. Emma's face darkened. You're making a mistake. No, I said, meeting her eyes in the mirror again. I'm making a choice. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing my own path. Later that night, I sat with Grandma Rose and Sam, planning my next move. The photos of Lily's secret life spread before us like a roadmap to revenge. They'll try to stop you, Sam warned. Let them try. I pulled out my savings passbook, years of tips and extra shifts adding up to almost enough for a salon down payment. I'm done being the family disappointment. Time to become their worst nightmare instead. Grandma Rose smiled, sliding a check across the table. Your father's real inheritance. I've been saving it for the right moment. The amount made my hands tremble. Enough to open my own salon, to build something they couldn't control or destroy. My phone lit up with another message from Lily. "Last chance, sis. Don't say we didn't try to help." I deleted it without responding. They thought offering me a job would keep me quiet, keep me under their thumb. Instead, they'd given me the final push I needed to break free. "Time to show them what the family disappointment can do," I whispered, and began to plan. The Glow Haven sign flickered to life above my new salon, casting a soft pink glow across the empty street. 3 months of renovation, endless permit battles, and one particularly vindictive building inspector later, I was finally ready to open. "It's perfect," Jess whispered, standing beside me. "Though I still can't believe you chose this location. 2 blocks from Derek's flagship real estate office, close enough to be a daily reminder of my presence, far enough to avoid legal trouble." My phone buzzed with a notification. Lily had posted another charity gala photo, wearing a designer dress that cost more than my first month's rent. The caption read, "Success is the best revenge. Blessed, Schechter family first." Speaking of the devil's favorite child, Jess nodded toward the street. A sleek black car pulled up, and Linda stepped out, her expression carefully neutral. "Keep unpacking," I told Jess. "I'll handle this." The bell chimed as my mother entered, her heels clicking against the new hardwood floors. She surveyed the space with the same look she used to give my childhood art projects, searching for flaws. "Interesting choice of location," she said finally. "Derek's not happy." Derek's happiness stopped being my concern when he threw me out. She ran a finger along the reception desk. "We're willing to forget that unfortunate incident with Max. Come home. We can help you find a more suitable location for your salon." "You mean somewhere I won't embarrass the family?" "I mean somewhere you won't destroy yourself trying to prove a point." She pulled out an envelope. "Derek's offering to buy out your lease. Triple what you paid." The envelope felt heavy with more than just money. It represented everything they thought of me, that I could be bought, controlled, silenced. "Tell him to keep his money." I handed it back. "I'm doing fine on my own." "Are you?" She gestured around the empty salon. "Because according to Emma, you've been asking questions about Derek's business, digging into things that don't concern you. Like Lily's gambling debts, or the money she's been stealing?" Linda's face paled slightly before she recovered. "Be careful, Marley. Some accusations can't be taken back." The bell chimed again. Sam walked in carrying a box of supplies, but froze when he saw Linda. "Perfect timing," I said, perhaps too loudly. "Sam's helping me set up my security system, cameras everywhere, backing up to multiple cloud servers. You know, in case anything unfortunate happens." Linda's lips thinned. "You really want to do this? Make yourself our enemy?" "No, Mom, I want to make myself successful. You're the ones treating it like a war." She turned to leave, then paused. "Lily's engagement party is next weekend. She'd like you to do her hair. Consider it a peace offering." The invitation hit like a slap. Lily, getting everything again. The perfect party, the perfect fiancé, the perfect life built on lies and stolen money. "I'll check my schedule," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Though I'm pretty booked. Success, you know." After she left, Sam set down the box. "You okay?" I stared at my reflection in the salon's front window, seeing the ghost of who I used to be, the good daughter, always bending, always giving in. But behind that reflection, I saw something else. My name in glowing letters, my space, my rules. "They think this is about spite," I said quietly. "Opening here, competing with their perfect image. But it's not. It's about showing them who I really am, who I've always been when they weren't looking." My phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number with a photo attached. Lily, at a casino, handing something to a man in a suit. The message read, "Thought you might want to know what your sister's really doing with Daddy's money. A friend." "Marley?" Sam's voice was concerned. "What is it?" I showed him the photo. "It's ammunition. The question is, do I use it now, or wait until her perfect engagement party?" The salon lights caught the Glow Haven sign just right, making it shine like a beacon, a warning, a promise. "Let them think this is just about a salon," I whispered. "Let them think they know what's coming." I saved the photo, already planning my next move. Sometimes revenge doesn't roar, it whispers, building slowly until the perfect moment to strike. The bell above Glowhaven's door chimed like a warning. I looked up from my appointment book to find Lily standing there, her designer heels clicking against the floor as she approached the reception desk. Behind her, Emma recorded everything on her phone. "Surprise, sis." Lily's smile was razor sharp. "I need my hair done for the engagement party. Mother said you'd be happy to help." The salon went quiet. My regular clients knew our history. They'd seen the social media drama, heard the whispers. Jess stepped forward, but I held up my hand. "Of course," I said, matching Lily's smile. "Right this way." As I draped the cutting cape around her shoulders, Lily's eyes met mine in the mirror. "I saw your little investigation photos, the ones you've been collecting. Very creative editing." My scissors paused mid-snip. "I don't edit truth, Lily." "No?" She pulled out her phone, showing me a series of doctored images, the casino photos I'd received but altered to show me instead of her. "Neither do I." The scissors trembled in my hand. "What do you want?" "Close the salon, leave town, or these go public, along with evidence linking you to some very interesting financial transactions." "You're bluffing. Try me." She nodded to Emma, who started live streaming. "Oh, and you might want to check your reviews. Seems several customers had terrible experiences here. Chemical burns, ruined hair. Such a shame." My phone buzzed with notifications. Dozens of one-star reviews flooding in, each more damaging than the last. Through the window, I spotted Derek's car pulling up. "Time's running out, sis." Lily stood, letting the cape fall. "You have until the engagement party to make your choice. Though really, what choice do you have?" Derek entered as Lily left, his expression cold. "I warned Linda you'd never change. Now look what you've done, threatening your sister, spreading lies about my company." "I haven't—" "Save it." He dropped a thick envelope on my station. "Cease and desist order. Try to attend the engagement party, and I'll have you arrested." After they left, I stood in the empty salon, surrounded by the dream I'd built. My phone kept buzzing. More reviews, more accusations, more lies spreading across social media. Sam burst in, face flushed. "Marley, they're saying you've been laundering money through the salon. The police are—" Blue lights flashed outside. 2 officers entered, their expressions grim. "Miss Walker, we need you to come with us. There are some questions about your business practices." Everything blurred. The handcuffs felt ice cold. Through the window, I saw Lily and Emma watching, phones raised, documenting my humiliation. Hours later, released on bail, I sat in Grandma Rose's kitchen. The evidence against me was mounting: forged documents, witness statements, a perfect frame job orchestrated by the sister who'd stolen everything else. "They won't stop," I whispered, staring at my reflection in the dark window. "They'll take this too, just like they took everything else." Sam paced behind me. "We have the real evidence. We can fight back." "With what?" "They've destroyed my reputation, frozen my accounts. The salon's finished." My voice cracked. "I tried to beat them at their own game, and they're better at it. They always have been." Grandma Rose set a cup of tea in front of me. "Your father never believed in giving up. Dad's dead, and they made sure I lost everything he left me." My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Thought you could expose us? Watch what happens next." The karma. Attached was a video. Security footage from the night Max died. My hand shook as I pressed play. "Don't—" Sam reached for the phone, but it was too late. The footage showed someone in my jacket, my hair, entering the house that night. The figure moved with purpose, approached Max. The screen went black. Another text appeared. "The full video plays at my engagement party. Be there or it goes public. Your choice, sis." I let the phone clatter to the table. They had me cornered. Attend and face arrest, or stay away and let them destroy what remained of my life. "Maybe," I whispered, "some people really do win by being monsters." Through the window's reflection, I watched my dream of justice, of revenge, of proving my worth, shatter like glass. In its place, a darker truth emerged. Sometimes the only way to fight monsters is to become one yourself. The question was, how far was I willing to go? The engagement party glittered like a funeral dressed in diamonds. I adjusted my black dress, watching security scan the invitation Grandma Rose had somehow procured. Behind me, Sam and Jess waited in the car, our plan set in motion. Lily stood at the center of it all, resplendent in white, her smile faltering when she saw me. "You actually came. Wouldn't miss it." I handed her a small box. "Wedding gift. Early, I know, but I wanted you to have it tonight." The ballroom buzzed with whispers. Derek appeared, face darkening. "You were warned? About the restraining order?" I smiled. "Check the date. It doesn't take effect until midnight." Linda materialized, gripping my arm. "Whatever you're planning, Mom." Lily's voice shook as she opened the box. Inside lay a USB drive and a single photo, her at the casino, caught in the act of her latest transaction. "Don't. Play it," I said softly. "Show everyone your highlight reel." Emma pushed through the crowd, phone ready. "Security!" "Go ahead," I nodded to her camera. "Stream it. Show your followers what's really happening. Isn't that what you do best?" Lily's fiancé frowned. "What's going on?" "Nothing," Derek snapped, reaching for the USB. "This is just your company's financial records?" I raised my voice slightly. "The offshore accounts? Or maybe it's the security footage from the night Max died, the unedited version." The room went silent. Lily's hands trembled as she clutched the box. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" I turned to address the crowd. "Did you know your perfect golden girl has been embezzling millions? That she's been gambling it away at underground casinos? That she— Enough!" Linda stepped between us. "You've always been jealous." "Play the drive," I cut her off. "Prove me wrong." Lily's fiancé grabbed the USB, moving toward the laptop connected to the ballroom's projector. Lily lunged for him, but it was too late. The screen flickered to life. Financial records scrolled past, followed by casino footage. Then came the security video from the night Max died, but it wasn't me in the jacket. The footage showed Lily, wearing my clothes, deliberately staging the scene. The truth, finally exposed in high definition. "Turn it off," Derek commanded, but the damage was done. Phones were out, recording everything. Emma's livestream counter ticked up by thousands. "You set me up," Lily whispered, her perfect mask cracking. "You knew I'd try to frame you again tonight." "I learned from the best." I moved closer. "But unlike you, I didn't have to fake the evidence. You did that all on your own." Her hand cracked across my face. The slap echoed through the stunned silence. "You've ruined everything," she hissed. "No, Lily, you did that yourself. Every lie, every manipulation, every stolen dollar. I just held up the mirror." Derek's phone rang. Probably his lawyers, warning him about the financial records now spreading across social media. Linda stood frozen, watching her carefully constructed family facade crumble. "Arrest her," Derek demanded, pointing at me. "She stole company documents." "Actually," Sam's voice rang out as he entered, "those came from an anonymous whistleblower. The SEC has had them for hours. They're very interested in your creative accounting, Derek." Sirens wailed in the distance. Lily's fiancé backed away, removing his ring. Emma's phone slipped from her fingers as federal agents entered the ballroom. "This isn't justice," Linda spat. "This is cruelty." "No, Mom. This is karma." I turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Lily, the salon's doing great. Turns out success really is the best revenge." As the agents moved in, reading rights and asking questions, I walked away. Through the glass doors, I caught my reflection. Not the family disappointment anymore, not the victim, not even the avenger. Just me, finally free. Grandma Rose waited in the lobby, a knowing smile on her face. Your father would be proud. Of revenge? Of justice. She took my arm. Now, about that expansion plan for Glowhaven. Behind us, the ballroom erupted in chaos. But I didn't look back. Some reflections are better left shattered. The morning headlines screamed across every screen in Glowhaven's new flagship location. Real estate empire crumbles. Derek Walker faces federal charges. Below that, socialite Lily Walker enters plea deal. I adjusted a display of high-end styling products, catching fragments of my reflection in the salon's mirrors. Each one showed a different angle, like pieces of a story finally coming together. The bell chimed. Linda stood in the doorway, older somehow, clutching her designer bag like armor. "We're not open yet," I said, but didn't ask her to leave. "I saw Lily yesterday." She moved closer, her heels clicking against the marble floors I'd chosen specifically because they reminded me of Derek's office. Before they took her. "And?" "She asked about you, about Max." Linda's voice cracked. "She finally told me the truth, about everything." I continued arranging products, letting the silence stretch. Through the window, I could see the "coming soon" sign on the building across the street. My second location, paid for with honest work instead of stolen money. "I should have known," Linda whispered. "Should have seen what she was becoming, what we made her become." "You saw exactly who she was," I turned to face her. "You just preferred that version to who I really am." "And who are you, Marley?" The question hung between us like shattered glass. Before I could answer, Grandma Rose emerged from the back office, carrying a familiar wooden box. "I think it's time," she said, placing it on the counter. Inside lay Dad's old photos, family moments before everything fractured. And beneath them, documents I'd never seen before. "Your father knew," Grandma Rose explained, watching Linda's face pale. "About Derek's first company, the one that mysteriously failed. About the investors who lost everything. He was building a case." "Until the accident," Linda whispered. "Was it?" I asked, but I already knew the answer. Had known it since finding those casino photos, following the money trail back years before Lily's birth. Linda's hands trembled. "I never meant to choose money over justice? To teach Lily that anything can be buried with enough lies?" I slid the box toward her. "Keep it. I don't need reminders anymore." "What will you do now?" she asked. "After everything." "I'm going to run my business, live my life, and if you or Lily or Derek ever come near me again." "You'll what?" A challenge flickered in her eyes. One last attempt at the old dynamic. "Nothing," I smiled, genuine for the first time in years. "I won't have to do anything. The truth does enough damage on its own." After she left, Grandma Rose touched my shoulder. "You knew about the documents all along, didn't you? That's why you waited. Let Lily expose herself instead of using them." I learned from the best. I met her knowing smile in the mirror. "How long were you planning this?" "Since the day your father died. He asked me to protect you, but not the way Linda and Derek protected Lily. He wanted you to learn to protect yourself." The morning sun streamed through the windows, catching the salon's name in gold letters. Below it, smaller, but just as bright. Founded by Marley Walker. Not Lily's sister, not Linda's daughter, not Derek's stepdaughter, just me. Sam arrived with coffee and plans for the new location. Jess started preparing for our first clients. The day began, ordinary and extraordinary at once. "You never told me," I said to Grandma Rose as she prepared to leave. "That night with Max, did Lily act alone?" She paused at the door. "Some reflections are better left shattered, dear, especially when the pieces could cut more than just the people who deserve it." I watched her go, understanding finally settling like sunset after a storm. The truth about Max, about Dad, about all of it. It was never just about revenge. It was about breaking free from a house of mirrors where every reflection showed someone else's version of me. The bell chimed again. My first client of the day entered, smiling warmly. "Love what you've done with the place." "Thank you," I said, gesturing to my chair. "Let's make something beautiful." In the mirror before me, 1,000 reflections caught the light, each one showing exactly who I chose to be,